Welcome, Grognards. I'm here with Luke Hughes, the project lead of Burden of Command. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you. Hey, guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to do this. We've actually had a bit of a couple of starts, but this is our third start. My fault. I had my sound levels not in the right position, but we've got that one sorted now. All the technicalities. Now, we're going to be having a look at, of course, the game Burden of Command, as well as the DLC, so the Three Nations DLC. And you can see down through here, like I've got the Steam page open. What we'll do is we'll come back later and actually have a really good look at the game from the Steam perspective. But initially what we're going to be doing is having a look at the game itself so that people can actually see if it's a game that does interest them, which hopefully it will. You can see the results here, very positive reviews in recent as well as in all reviews, which is actually very good for a strategy game. Like often strategy games hover around between 60 and 80, in that sort of range. So it's certainly performing above what most games.
And I'll say, if you drag the slider, folks, and if you go to about 3 hours of play, it goes up to 90%, because probably our biggest problem is learning curve. We can talk about that. But after that, 90% approval.
Yeah. Well, it's close there anyway, to be honest, 83 and 88.
I can live with 83.
It's still good. But it is one of those games, the more you do play it, the more involved you get with the game. So let's just quickly get the deals out of the way. At the moment, at time of recording, we have the Turn-Based Thursday Fest deal, which is 20% off. And there will be Steam deals as well that would come up. But this 30% off, where it actually ends up being cheaper than the 20% off, with both the base game and the Three Nations DLC, is really your go-to. And that stays there the whole time.
I'm thinking I made a terrible mistake. You get the 20% and you kind of get 30%. The math's a little complicated, but it comes somewhere near like 40% off.
But it's a very, very good price. Oh, so the 20% applies on top of the 30%. So if
basically take 20% off the base game, and then now you have the price. You take 30% off that in the DLC, and you stared at some people and think, "What was I thinking?"
So when a deal is on, then really this becomes a very, very cheap prospect. But
of course, you really want to buy it at full price and then send me donations.
But no, this
is fun to buy. It really is. It's a good deal. We want customers.
So the 30% is there all the time, but it does get impacted by the deal that's currently on as well. So you can get a double dip.
That comes together. Complicated, but pretty good. Pretty damn good.
It is good.
Good.
That's good. So it's actually, anyway, that's really, really quite awesome. So anyway, we've got this one. That's the deals at this stage. We'll go into the game and let's have a bit of a look at the premise and the structure of of the way the game is sort of set up. So when we have a look at it, we've got campaign scenarios, any save files you've got, settings file in through there, credits, and then of course quit. The campaign itself is just the base game. So this is the Cotton Ballers campaign, which, as we've been discussing, and as people have actually, when you read anything at all about Burden of Command, people equate this very, very closely with Band of Brothers.
That's right. In fact, we even, as a nod to that a bit, our Sergeant Grant, who's your key advisor in many ways as you're learning the ropes as a company commander, is the voice of Shane Taylor, who played the medic in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, wow, that's you've been able to sort of. So, was Band of Brothers a big influence on the actual game, or
enormous, of course?
Yeah.
So, but what's wonderful about Band of Brothers is trying to do a credible, emotionally engaging, and historically defendable, and yet still emotionally engaging story. I know many people watch it repeatedly, men and women, interestingly. And so we were really trying to make. Actually, Forbes called us interactive Band of Brothers, and I think that's a good description.
That is a good description, yeah. Because, playing the game, you do the role play aspect, and I think we'll get into more detail, I guess, once we sort of get past this initial part of what the game actually does do. But the whole role play aspect, it's beyond a typical role play as well. It's actually handled in a very in a very respectful way in a lot of ways, but also in a very interesting way, which will again we'll start to. We'll do a like a bit of an onion peel thing where we go deeper and deeper into the layers. So maybe we'll come back to that one after we've at least shown the scope and I guess
Yeah.
the general approach of the game, so that people can at least see the gameplay and think, yep, this is what I want, or this is not what I want. So let's cancel that. So that's the campaign. Excuse me. The scenarios, you do actually have cotton ballers where you can then go and replay any of the actual campaigns or anything that's sort of come back in through here, including the tutorials. The tutorials are quite involved but very, very well structured. And I think you guys put a lot of effort into making the tutorials as succinct as possible, or not succinct, but more as clear as possible. Not
We worked really hard. I'm not saying we got it right. I think it could be done better. What a surprise. But we worked really hard on it, meaning we went through many, many iterations of playtesters, discovering some people learn through text, some people learn through diagrams, some people learn through video, some people learn by just messing around. And we tried to support all those. And our problem was that, we do things, as we'll probably talk about later, quite differently from quite a few tactical RPGs or war games or just RPGs, and so that's hard for people. But I don't want to go on until we have context. But we had to work to get you to change some groundwork assumptions.
Yes, yeah. Because it's sort of funny. It's funny you mentioned about the different learning styles. I know that, like I'm someone who likes to. I tend to skim everything initially, and then play, and then actually go back and read properly.
It was very humbling, like we're sitting there and we done brilliant writing and they didn't pay any attention to it and said, well, I like learning from diagrams. So we went back, put diagrams. Then later, didn't you look at the diagrams and ever played it? No, I like to learn through reading. So we're all different.
Here we are.
And that was humbling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of funny. It's and I'm very conscious of my own learning styles because I have to play so many different games that I've got to find an approach that works quickly for me, that still allows me to get into depth. And they do find that I bounce in and out of. I might play the game for 3 minutes and then read something and then go back and play it again and again and again. It's sort of funny.
I don't know how you absorb them all.
And so that's the cotton ballers in terms of scenarios. With the Three Nations, this is really quite interesting because like the cotton ballers, the base game is really all just based on a US infantry group, essentially, where you've got different sorts of elements.
Leader.
Yep. Whereas the Three Nations, did you want to just talk through each of these? I can just
I'll talk through them. Actually, why don't we go back one screen because the pictures will be kind of nice. Just cancel. So look top left, Myers Hill. So you play U.S. paratroopers around Normandy, and interesting there, Colonel John Antle, who some of you might recognize the name. He did executive producer for Brothers in Arms, a very well-respected, credible first-person shooter. He gave us video of live actors in Normandy that he paid for. It was intended for an interactive DVD and it never happened, and he loves our project, so he gave it to us. Now, the really strange one, look next. U.S. paratroopers, what the hell? Pike woman? So that's a mother in Pegasus Bridge is a famous landing, British paratroopers seizing a bridge to defend D-Day. But tactically it wasn't that exciting. The real story there, from what we read, was really about the period leading up to it. The civilians, some conscripted German soldiers, etc. You play mostly a French civilian woman deciding how much to risk her family to help the French resistance. That really focuses on the interactive fiction. Benefil, up in the top right, back to tactical. That's a hardcore tactical game. It's a tower defense, realistic tower defense. Your British paratroopers trying to hold off a German attack. It's quite historically based and very challenging. So you'll scream at the monitor some on that one. Steel Rain, you unusually get to lead a German mechanized assault. Again, based on specific happenings around Normandy. And unusual, we have images of real Germans, and sometimes it involves swastikas from the photos and so forth, and the German authorities have allowed us, they don't normally get too keen on playing in German in a game in World War II, but they feel that we've been so credible about it that they are allowing it.
That's great. That's great, actually. That's very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, incredibly actually. I mean, so many games have to be really nerfed, for European consumption, like in around Germany. So
Well,
that's very interesting. And we're going to be looking at Steel Rain today, actually, because that gives a very quick introduction to, I guess, a lot of different elements. So
yeah.
we'll sort of head that way. One thing with the scenarios, I wasn't sure whether they string on like the campaigns or whether it's all just played on one big map.
This is a battle pack. They are distinct, absolutely distinct scenarios. So they're related in the sense that the Pegasus, if you want to play it a little stuff narratively, but they don't connect literally, you play Pegasus Bridge first. Then you play Benneville, where you defend that bridge from the British. I mean, as the British. And then you switch and attack the same Benneville essentially as the Germans, though different day, so it's still a different battle. So we look closely at Pegasus Bridge in particular around those three scenarios, but they're not a campaign. The Cotton Balers is a real campaign
Yep,
where it's
yep.
classic RPG, or if you prefer Panzer Corps, something where you gain experience for your leaders and your units and lose them permanently, depending on what you do, across a 60-hour campaign from the shores of Morocco to the Hitler's Eagle's Nest.
So if the main campaign is 60 hours worth of content, what would you say would be the content from the DLC, like in terms
Somewhere in
of?
a range of 7 to 10. It's $5, so it's not going
Yep.
to lighten your wallet too much. And there's definitely some replay. Be a rare person who can win Benefil or Steel Rain the first time.
It's funny because I kicked in with Benneville because when I was trying to figure out what we would want to be playing, and I got very very lucky.
Did you pull that off the first time? You're hardcore.
What I did,
Wow.
why don't we just delve into it very quickly? I can just show on the map what I did,
Believe that.
if it's going
I
to
don't
be
believe
at all helpful. And I
true
didn't
audience are playing me here. Okay, go
I
ahead.
didn't actually get. I didn't. Sorry, just at the very, very start of the game. It was, but I was really taken by it. It was. I found it really quite interesting. I'll just go and start it.
Oh, so you're going to go into Beneville, sure.
I'll just. We won't play in here for much. I just wanted to again show something a bit different
Oh,
before we
just
get
show it. I think
into
it'd
the
be
other one.
helpful to them to get the feel of it.
One thing I
And
quite.
these are, if you don't, please, everybody will be tempted if you get the combination. Don't run into the DLC and start playing right away without doing a boot camp. You'll just be frustrated and angry and leave me a Steam review about how stupid this game is and why doesn't it work this way or that. Please do the boot camp first. The British paratroopers beg you.
It's that's very true. There's aspects about the game where if you like this, I think we'll talk about the actual game mechanics in a lot of depth after we've just done like a bit of a superficial play. But the game mechanics themselves, with the orders and things like that, it really it's a very different way of playing one of these sort of games. So here we go. Actually, intros.
You can hit escape if you want.
Anywhere.
We have a historical media team, all volunteers, many of them vets, got for the base game over 1,500 images and edit and colorize them. Then we did a fairly big effort for this DLC again. So we have a lot of people who are very passionate about history. The art is from Marius Kozak, who's Total War artist. We can't afford him, but he loves the project, so he helps us out.
Wow, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, because the art's great. It looks
He's
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so I won't read much of this until we actually get into the one that we're going to be playing. But essentially, you do actually have like often like a presentation with different choices down below. Now, we had spoken about this before, but do you want to just discuss about the how important, like, because quite often when you play games that are more of a RPG sort of style game, you often get different choices that don't really mean anything. That's not the case here, is it?
We really, a core design goal, outside of making you bond with your men and feel the burden of command, was to make the interactive fiction engine integrate with the tactical. Meaning, decisions you make in interactive fiction. For example, we're going to give you choices sometimes like, hey, do you want recon in advance, or do you want artillery? You don't have time to get both from a higher command. That's a real decision, and it will obviously change tactical play. Inversely, if you go down, say, a certain area of the map, the interactive fiction, the engine will fire events, of which some will be fiction to explain it, but then it might do things like bring in some reinforcements or cause some casualties from a sniper or force you to make a decision that may affect the victory conditions. So we were highly exercised to make the interactive fiction and the tactical be one integrated experience, like for the real soldiers, right? They were living, dealing with each other and dealing with the enemy and dealing with civilians and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. So look, we'll go that into more detail when we play the actual scenario, going through the actual mechanics itself. But I just wanted to more show the map. So I'll just go to like this is, I guess, one of these things: gain a random unit on turn 2. This one here, gain a random unit, reduce negative ammunition events. So you can sort of do different things. But let's just head straight into the area. We'll just skip past all of these different things. I'll just click on whatever the first one is.
Oh my God, he made that decision.
So I'll just go through. So there's certainly a lot of role play type things, and I'm not even reading these. I just want to sort of give a scope of the maps and where things actually are.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
So now this one is different to what I must have played. No, I didn't play this one.
I wonder if you did play Benneville, because I don't see how you could have won it the first time. Maybe,
No.
but you have to be experienced.
This
is post the bridge being seized, and you're defending a little village that
Yeah,
the
I started
Germans
here.
buy. You can see the fighters. Isn't that cool? You played Pegasus Bridge with a heavy interactive fiction, I think. All right, he is a poser. Okay, now we know about dust tactics. Revelation. Yes, that one you should be able to win right away.
Yes.
Not the interactive fiction part, but the tactical. This one, good luck.
Yes. So in that one, you start off with some paratroopers that end up crashing over here, and you have to get across the bridge.
You crashed those.
Yeah, sorry.
You crashed those in Pegasus Bridge. That's the remnants.
Yeah, so because when I was looking at this, I thought that's not what I played. I didn't have to deal with all of this.
Okay, now I believe you.
But so the map itself and the scale of the map is not like, we're not talking like all of Europe or anything like that. We're talking about a very, very intimate location.
50 meters of X.
Yeah. So it's sort of which is really awesome. It's sort of, I actually prefer these types of games. I think it was the John Tiller games, like the.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like
I was a big fan of campaign series. Those who play campaign series might recognize that you can play units across many fights. I don't want to get too geeky here. That's one level up where you're playing platoons typically. These are squads, so each of those units is about 10 to 12 men, and the leaders are, of course, individuals.
Yep. So if people are familiar with the campaign series, and I know a lot of my viewers actually are.
We've got the real Grognards in.
Yeah, there are old games now, but they were incredibly good. I mean, the scale of those. So the scale of the map is even more smaller than the John Tiller campaign series, right? And the units.
We wanted intimacy, right? Band of Brothers focuses in individuals in the battlefield. We really wanted to put you there making decisions that don't affect sprites, but affect people. At least you believe that. And when we consider ourselves succeeding, when a playtester would say something like, I didn't send him up the hill because I didn't want to lose Wilson because I'd been playing with him, for 20 hours and we were in 1944 and I didn't feel he deserved to die.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. So when we start our game, what we'll do is we'll go through and start to talk about what all these things are. But I was interested in, like, again, I was only remembering it from when I had started with these gliders. I was going to show you how clever I was by putting smoke in the river.
That's funny.
Anyway, let's get back to what we actually.
Out when you said you won as a new player right away. I was like, oh my God. Would have really pissed off Hank Scofers, who's a Dutch vet who does our scenarios. He'd get pretty angry if your challenging ones were won the first time.
Well, no, I didn't play that one. I can tell you that. I played the Pegasus Bridge in that case. But I was blown away by how even just that little portion of the map was fun to play. And as you said before, very superficial.
Benefield's a nice fight.
Yeah. Well, Steel Rain is
Steel Rain. Here we go.
So we're going to be playing.
Have you done any Steel Rain yet, or are you coming in green?
I'm coming in completely green because we spoke about. So let's go through. So we can just talk about. You can then tell me what I should be looking at. Now I'm more inclined to play balanced.
Yeah.
Which is sort of. I'm not someone who really plays much RPG, to be honest. I tend not to do it. But the thing that has struck me with this game is just how how varied the actual RPG can be depending on your choices, and just how much connection you get with the actual characters in the actual game itself. That's actually
And
this is
in the main campaign, you can gain RPG things that give you new skills, right? New tactical ways to play, like Zeal will give you the ability to do very good assaults, etc.
yeah, yep.
I would let some of the video run here because it's going to be an unusual video compared to what people are used to in games.
Oh, okay. Is that
It'll pop for a
In der
moment. Here we
ersten
go.
Stunde des 6. Juni,
Let's let it
wenige
play for a
Minuten
moment.
nach Mitternacht, rollt die gewaltige
We
militärische
should get some
Aktion an.
sound.
Alarm für alle!
yeah? I've got the sound turned down a bit.
All right, well, you're seeing a German propaganda video. How many games start with that as opposed to the usual US or whatever? Because you're playing the Germans here.
Der Tag
And
hat
remarkably,
begonnen.
they
Im Morgengrauen
they actually had
tauchen
some
aus der
footage
Kiew
that
der
appears from
Seebucht
D-Day.
Massen der
So
angloamerikanischen
puts you immediately
Invasionsflotte
right in the
auf.
context
Mit
of
einer
you leading a
Fernkamera hat der
mechanized
Kriegsberichter
assault on this British
unmittelbar vor
paratrooper
Einsetzen des
beachhead that's
gegenseitigen
trying to defend
Artilleriebeschusses
Pegasus
diese
Bridge.
Aufnahmen gemacht.
Right, yeah. The sound is coming through. You may not be able to hear it, but
Oh,
it
I
is.
can hear it. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just down a bit low. That's cool, actually, to be able to. I didn't realize that they had like those. What
I
are
didn't
they
know that
called?
until we researched it.
Yeah, because I guess they've been banned. Would that be what's happened? Like, would it have been suppressed? The fact that they had the like we see the British ones here in Australia a bit. The what are they called? I forget what they're called. Something tone or cinetone or something.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
That's a good question. No, I don't know what the German government policy is about those.
yeah. That's the first time I've seen one of those in an actual game. It's the first time I was even aware that they have this exactly the same thing that the British were doing.
And you can see, you're taking risks for the German government to support us, right? You're actually putting people, immersing them, playing in the German thing. But if you read some of this and we play through, you're going to see the emotional tone is not going to be rah rah, I'm a Nazi. It's going to be like, oh my God, not another attack that's probably going to be slaughtered by, U.S. battleships. But they have to be subtle, right? Because it's a repressive regime. I'll let you take over here.
Yep. So 10th of June, 1944. We'll just click to continue. So I'll just read this out. So the reek
I
of
will.
cordite hangs thick as you contemplate the latest order from General Fugtinger of the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment, 21st Panzer Division. Attack towards the Bonneville Bridge. Seize both spans. Your men have another battle ahead, and you must lead them.
So before you go on, first, well, it's all right. Here, what we do see players who are pure. We have people who are purely coming from tactical background, and people come from RPG background. You really have to embrace both because if you blow off the writing, and just go play. We saw that in a unnamed YouTuber the other day, right? He just blew off the story, and he didn't understand what the objectives were, and so he played it the opposite way of what would have been his self-interest because he wasn't paying attention to this part.
So that wasn't me then.
Understandable. Different style. So this matters the way we were talking about, right? What they're
Yeah.
telling you here is going to inform you in how you play tactically, etc.
And again, as you play the game, the way that role play is handled in the game is quite unique as well. Which we'll get into that when we get into the actual game. There's an aspect of it that I wasn't even really consciously aware of until I was actually lying in bed one night thinking. And then it struck me, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But it's something that I wasn't. I was very surprised at the decision that was the design decision that you made around that.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah, it's something that I was thinking, wow, that's actually really clever. Anyway, we'll get to it. The defence of Normandy. Nearby, Lieutenant Braun theatrically clears his throat while you study the simplified map of the roads and canals around Ranville. He knows the orders as well as you do, and no doubt he is of a similar mind. Well, Hauptmann, might a poor infantry commander render a comment or two? And so we've then got three different choices. This is precisely what we tried 3 days ago. Sometimes if you hover over, you get information. Our last attack was broken up by the Allied naval guns, and we do the same thing and expect different results.
You can see, right, a little cynical. They've been through a lot of war. This is a unit that's been going from the Eastern Front on. Quick few things. This crude map, deliberately crude, drawn by one of our vets because they would draw these kind of maps for themselves in planning for a battle and so forth to explain to the men. And so we wanted to recreate that rather than have some beautiful artistic thing. Mouse over the little book icon there. Right there, right. So that's not a very interesting one, but you'll see these pop up. We did a freaky thing. We put bookmarks in a game. Now, they're completely optional because who wants to spend all the gameplay reading book notes? But our hope is when something happens like, oh, please, really? Are we doing something in Hollywood? I thought this was credible. You mouse over and you think, oh my God, that really did happen because history's stranger than fiction.
Okay, so that brings up the little pop-up in the corner there. Is that the...
Yeah, so it's bringing up here. You'll see ones on the right eventually that will give more context.
Yeah.
We'll do one more when it shows up.
Okay. Now,
So what are you going to do here, dude?
these different decisions here, do these actually have any bearing later on, or are they just basically just
The
to...
ones that don't have mouse overs often are more sort of your role playing here. What kind of person
Yep.
do you want to be? You're establishing. You will remember things like you're very sarcastic in the main campaign. It will tend to play to that and how the troops deal with you. But these are probably less. If there's not something popping up about it, it tends to be less tactically consequential. Doesn't mean emotionally it might not matter.
Yes, yep. And so with the, and again, I'm sorry, I know I'm just going to get caught up in the minutiae. I tend to do that, and I do want to get into the actual game, and I know that people will be saying, hurry up and just get into the gameplay. But the actual dialogue that you have in here, so many games don't have any real context of the actual history of what went on and the way that people in emergency situations actually respond with each other. So how have you approached that? Because so many games get that wrong, whereas I've noticed that this one, like you mentioned before, that there's a bit of sarcasm, for example. We do the same thing, expect different results. What sort of advice do you get from vets?
Well, we tried really hard since you're opening up that door. So one is we had a lot of vets involved. One of the reasons we have a lot of vets involved because we wanted to tell some of the things of war that aren't fun and aren't power trips, right? People die, even though you don't want them to, and you might have a choice. And so vets came out of the woodwork to support us because they wanted that to be told, right?
Yeah.
Second, a little bit like Band of Brothers tries to get across. People break down in Band of Brothers and become a mess. Secondly, we had a lot of advisors come in, like I mentioned, Colonel John Antles. We had another guy who wrote a wonderful book called Brains and Bullets, now called War Games, and he tried to say, what is the tactical nature, Dermot Rooney, of the battlefield? For instance, I'll give you a quick example. We all think, oh my God, there's melee and big fights. Actually, when people were charged on the battlefield, both Napoleonic and World War II, typically they decide to either surrender or run, because who wants a bayonet in the stomach? And inversely, when you ordered your men to assault, you'll see this a lot in early cotton balers. When they're green, they're like, yes, sir. And then somehow they'll fall down on the way, right, and not quite get there because, again, they don't really want to die so brutally. So real people on the battlefield's different. So we studied it a lot. We sent people, archivists, in to get the documents and to get the reality. We have what's called after-action reports. So real captains describe what happened to them in Morocco. So we knew that this was what we were trying to do was credible. And then we have some fanatics in the design thing who just read like crazy and try to get it right. I didn't say we got it right. We try to.
Yeah, so because you don't see much rah type a commentary,
That's
which is very, very refreshing. Like it's something that it drives me nuts. Seeing almost like I don't want to disparage teenagers, but it's almost like a teenager approach to writing, the way that people actually communicate when there's actually high pressure, whereas the game doesn't do that. And I know I've sort of gone down another rabbit hole here, but I do want to commend, again, just the research, the writing, and the overall approach.
We hope that you walk away from this not like, oh, that was fun. We hope it'll be deeply engaging.
Yes.
And we think it is for many people. But not fun. It's a little bit like This War of Mine. If some of your audience recognize that game, that was not fun. You're surviving in a war zone, and yet people really cared about it. And that was sort of our ambition, right? Like Band of Brothers, right? Is to connect emotionally to the experience, which isn't fun, but matters.
Yes.
And so if you read through the Steam reviews later, you'll see a lot of people who talk about, I've never had an experience, not tons, but quite a few, not an experience like this before, or I'll never forget these characters, or, it was I felt like I was inside Band of Brothers, etc.
Yes, yeah, and look, I'd spoken to you about my initial feeling from the game when I first looked at the demo, before it was even the game was launched, and I found the realism too much for me, to be honest, and so I was looking for escapism, and so I bounced off the game at that point, and it was only really when I started sort of coming back into it that I thought, wow, this is the story. You're charge of your own story to a large degree, but it's done in a very realistic and very respectful, but also very engaging way. You become the story is more than so many other stories that are sort of done as role play. This is, as you said before, it's not fun, but God, it's entertainment in
And
the
before
way.
it gets too scary to your audience, this is not a war game. It's a leadership RPG. We worked very hard on it. Again, not claiming we succeeded, but I studied XCOM and things like that pretty hard to try to draw on those simplified interfaces for people to do things. And we still do some things that are funky and different, learning curve, but we did work to try to make the approach to doing the mechanics modern rather than, oh my God, 68 different variables, and what does that chart mean?
Yes, yeah, and you've achieved that. Anyway, let's move on. I'll go and do the. This is precisely what we tried 3 days ago. I'll just go to that one there. This is that bookmark that you're talking about, isn't it?
There you go. So that tells you what really happened, why we think this is credible, but you don't have to look at it. But sometimes we find people look at it. The bookmarks have been incredibly well received to our shock. We felt like we had to do it, but people really like it, for that credibility connection.
I'll read.
I doubt they read it.
I'll read this out again because, the role play is important in this game. It is something you can't just skip over. So 3 days ago, another attack was made. 3 days ago, it was rebuffed by overwhelming Allied naval support. The same damn attack, Lieutenant Braun notes finally. 4 years of war has drained him of all enthusiasm, but thankfully not skill. Even that little bitch Monty will see this one coming. But perhaps we can at least reuse the same paperwork. It would be quite something if recent sea conditions had badly disrupted the Allied fleet. And so we've got a historical image there again, a Mulberry. What were they called? Were they Mulberry docks or something?
It's basically an artificial harbor. Think what that means. And they were wrecked by terrible storms. So the Germans are a little desperate here. Well, maybe these terrible storms have ruined their mulberries and they won't have enough supplies. And maybe this time things will work.
Yep. And over here we then get that historical context. So the division's anti-air battalion has been pulverised by naval gunfire north of Caen, and the tank regiment gutted from the air by British gunners. So, and this comes from the war in Western Europe, an actual reference. So
famous trilogy by Rick Atkinson, yes.
Yeah, and so then we actually, so we've got perhaps Monty has forgotten some detail. So Fuching has signed this personally, and Braun, your men will march in the morning. So essentially, you are. In this case, you are. Who is your context from this one? Are you sort of now giving?
So you're a company commander here. I think you're an infantry company commander for Germans, but you have mechanized support. And what kind of? We encourage you to role play, right? So if you were a German commander, and it's probably a lost war at this point, right? And here's another thing where you may get your men killed, but you still have to do your duty, both because maybe you feel you should, and also because. What happens to you if you don't? So who are you going to be as this German leader? What if you had been born in Germany, and most people were going to serve because the alternatives were pretty ugly. So who are you in 1944 at this point?
So as a bit of a summary then, so the first one is maybe you're going to get lucky because maybe the enemy has made a mistake, or basically this is something that's not my fault. It's the higher ups.
Excellent.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then the last one is taking the full resposibility and saying you go in
because you got to do it. So who are you, right? You're establishing yourself by making these choices.
You're almost apologising in this middle one, yeah. So with what does go on, I'll take that one. Pass the buck. Further up the line. So how comforting that shall be made us all feel as bullets sing. Braun replies in tones that suggest otherwise, but your ears alone. My men will march quickly. That's something of a lie, but then the truth rarely survives these days. So you've got plan the attack using the standard technology. Now we can see there we're getting now.
This will make a difference.
Yes. So this is now becoming something where, depending on what you choose here, it's going to have an impact for your replayability and all sorts of different things, isn't it, at this stage?
So why don't you role play and pick what you would, and then we'll see what it means for the game.
Yep, okay. So plan the attack using the standard methodology. Plan the attack so that we might prevent defeat. So this is an idealism. So this is a doctrine mindset. This is a idealism mindset.
I was training myself actually not to read them popovers, so I would make choices like I might have, and then find out what it meant and double check it. But if you want to play more mechanically, then read the mouse overs.
Oh, okay. Yep. No, that's so. Plan to seize the initiative and hold it, or I know this will be I know this will be a battle. I would actually choose.
So
I
what
would.
would you do?
I would do that one, number
Okay.
two. But from what you had said before, knowing that zeal gives you an advantage
Who
with
doesn't like
attack
Seal?
as a
Lieutenant
gamer,
Spears, the abandoned brother. It's a crazy dude who ran across the field and ran back. And Jordan's like, "What the hell?" That's Seal.
so yeah, so I would choose that one from as a game player, but I would choose this one as
Good.
somebody that was actually role playing. So I'll choose that one.
All right.
So
So
I
we don't
did.
have to go through grand detail here. You can just get the impression here. But this is
Yep.
actually a really interesting one. Over there on the left, you'll get this grandstand for your leader. Grandstand. So short story. D-Day. This commander got on the beach. It was Omaha Beach. It was terrible. All the men, U.S. soldiers, were lying on the beach, being strafed by a German machine gun, not getting off the beach. He walked around standing up, saying, "The only men I see are those who are dead and those about to die. Get up and get off the beach." And he'd actually, to his credit, had planned for this. He felt it might go badly, and he had his speech ready. And they were like looking at him, standing there while the bullets were popping up around him. And they were inspired because the bastard was putting his own life on the line. And they got up and they got off the beach. And so we name in the honor of that kind of thing, which did happen. Grandstand, and basically we don't have to worry about the details. It'll be an action. You pick grandstand, and guess what? If your company's a mess, everybody inside of you will be inspired. They'll get their morale back. But guess what? There's like a 15 or 20% chance you die.
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
you want to do it
Yeah.
or get wounded? Right? So it's a real choice.
I guess these are the people who end up winning, like the Victoria Crosses, like here in Australia or in the UK, and
Yeah.
you've got your
They're idealistic.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we'll select
Why don't you pick it? Yeah.
yep. So we'll select that one and we'll continue on. Now we've
So
got
I'll summarize for you to save you some more time here. You can read. I would read the description and I'll summarize the diagram for you.
so just up in here the
Yeah,
21st
read that and then I'll summarize the diagram.
All right, so 21st Panzer will attack westward into the teeth of the British defences tomorrow. As always, panzers and machine guns will carve the way. So,
So each of the tactical forces in the DLC is significantly different. For example, the Germans have an MG42, which is a fancy, very effective German machine gun. The U.S. soldiers are terrified of it. A very high rate of fire, and they planned all their tactics around it. And the short version of it is your squads only spend action points, which we call orders, one action point per shoot, whereas a normal rifle squad will take two orders and usually be done shooting after it fires. Whereas your guys with their MG42 could fire if they have three orders 3 times. So basically, you can put down a lot of fire. You're scary, and for once, unlike the cotton ballers, you are the Germans with these weapons,
yeah.
as opposed to cotton ballers in which they had the weapon.
Yes, and we haven't spoken yet about the way that orders work and the way because what you're talking about is something that is extremely core to the game and extremely core to the way that you've linked in the way that orders like the way that the leadership is actually then decided in a gaming way within the game itself, and it's these little things that you're talking about which probably don't sound much to people like when they're thinking of action points or something like that. But these are so critical to the actual game itself, and we'll see that when we get into it, I guess. But this screen, we can get access to this again, can't we? There's
a whole little question mark encyclopedia where you can look all this stuff up again.
Maybe
Basically, hey, you get fired 3 times instead of 1. I think that'd be pretty big in any game.
Yeah. So what I think we'll do is let's go and let's get into it, and then maybe go back and re-reference some of these because I think that will then make sense.
I'll explain it as we do it.
So we've got down through here. We'll have fire superiority from a distance. After previous losses, we only have 2 platoons of infantry, or the forest will force our panzers south. So what does that one give us? So it just gives us a bit of information there.
You can skip that for now. So just pick one that seems reasonable.
I would again probably go with the distance, I would guess.
Okay.
All right. So your machine
This is an
guns.
important screen. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. So your machine guns and cannons possess a heavier punch, but up close, the Englander are dangerous with their Bren guns and Piats. A difficult attack, but you have your orders. So the Piats are the anti-tank guns, aren't they?
Right. If anybody's seen Bridge Too Far, bring up the Piats, basically equivalent bazookas, so they're mechanically different. And on the
Yeah.
left, this is very unusual and important here. This might be one of the design decisions. The reference is a little unusual. So you have two victory conditions for every scenario in a game. It's always the mission versus the men, because we felt the central burden of command was that tension between take the hill, but preserve your men. The men expect you to not die unnecessarily, right?
Yeah.
But the higher ups certainly expect you to take that hill, and there's a moral claim. You should try to take the hill. You're trying to win the war. I mean, let's forget the Germans for a moment, if you're cotton balers. But inversely, you shouldn't be getting people slaughtered. So we try to put you as a player in this tension all the way through, like, oh my God, I'm taking a lot of casualties. I'm about to lose. I don't think I can take that hill, but I've still got the men victory condition. Maybe I should withdraw right now, because the vets emphasized to us, real commanders, they said never say withdraw. You never withdraw. I mean, you never surrender. Sorry, you never retreat, but you do withdraw, right? So we have a withdraw button that will open up like, hey, maybe I can save the men victory condition. Because if you're a normal player, Das, or anybody else, or me, everybody wants to win. If we just had take the hill, and people would just keep playing, unlike a real commander. But we said, oh, you could still win a different way with the men, even though you're not going to take that hill. Then we're encouraging people to make realistic decisions by giving them two types of victory conditions.
That's very, very clever, I've got to say as well. And again, playing within that context, you do weigh it up. Like as soon as you get a setback in one of the victory conditions, your whole thinking around the way that you're playing the game actually changes. And again, it's one of these things where the actual application of having these two conditions has such a big impact in a game sense that it's bigger than it sounds. Like you said before, like this is really important. It's really important, isn't it? Really, just these two victory conditions. And
Trying to force you to be a leader, that you're worrying about the men and the mission.
yeah. So let's continue on. But yeah, this is something that you have access to, seeing what's going on in the game
You'll
as
see
well.
it in the bottom left.
Actually, we're probably covering that, aren't we?
All right. Now reality.
So here we are. So this is the actual map itself. Now, is there anything in the bottom corner that we're covering that
You can't see that right now, but it's basically saying secure all the objectives. And why don't you scroll left, and you can zoom out a little bit if you want. Right now, mouse wheel, you go left. You see the flag, zoom in a little bit in the middle. Yes, to the stop. To the 2 o'clock on the clock, you see secure the chateau. Right?
Right.
You see the British flag? That's one of your objectives. It has a flag, it's one of your objectives. If you scroll left, you'll see some more objectives, which are further into the village. And obviously they're wondering, we think there might be, British paratroopers in those various spots. Your first objective is to secure that chateau. And then I'll let you play, right? Scroll around, make up your plan. I would not go casually into this dark place. I would make some rough plan.
Well, what I might do is I might move. I'll just pause the recording, and I'll just move our heads slightly out of the way so we can see because there's some really important buttons down the bottom there. So I'll just expose those. All right, we're back in. So yep, let's. So we've got the chateau in here, which is just a like in the actual map itself. There's the objectives are to get all the way to the back here, aren't they? Really. So you've got like a few different series of approaches across the actual map, and it's sort of
Right.
when people are used to like war game type maps, they're it looks like this is very, very short, but there's a lot that goes on in what happens with the terrain. And I guess one of the really, really important things are if they think that there's somebody in this particular farmhouse, for example. You can see it's got Englander. I'll just zoom in here. Now you've got a few different tools down the bottom here, and I guess I'll get you to sort of direct different aspects. But the first one through here is the help. And if we do want to go back and see certain things about how things do work, it does then give us this information, which is, I found this incredibly useful when I was playing the game, to be honest. It was, I actually quite enjoyed, and I guess my learning style was to do something, bounce back to here, find the relevant page, and then have a look. So the one that we just looked at before, where would that be? Not sure which one.
Well, the
it is.
specific one about the Germans may not be in there. I don't know because it's the
Right.
DLC we didn't. But,
Oh, okay, right,
The
yeah.
general principles are there.
Yeah,
That
okay.
could be, you could have found a bug, so to speak.
Okay.
All right, Alan, lead writer, we need to get that in. He called me on it. I'm obviously crazy.
There was,
Okay.
I did find two other bugs in there. If you want me to,
Not possible. Not possible.
it
All
was
right.
actually it was the format of something. I forget which one it was.
Pay no attention to him. There are no
Yeah, no.
bugs in this. I
Everyone
don't know
just
what he's
block your
talking
ears.
about.
It was actually the format of the graphics. I can't find it now.
Oh,
Maybe it's been
yeah.
fixed because I did mention it to you the other day. I don't know if it's already been done, but there was actually one looked like it was
Anyway,
a bitmap. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They all look fine now. But anyway, it was a different resolution, but that's not a big deal. Anyway, we've got the unit bases. I'll come back. We'll come back to that when we start looking at the units. But one of the really, I guess, one of the really valuable. Actually, there it is. There we can see our units here. So you can either have them on or off. I think it's easier with them on, to be honest. Do you find that as well, like keeping the actual bases on?
it's certainly clearer. I like the immersion of not having them on, but most people like them on.
I like them on just because it gives you a graphic underneath. Just again, and I guess like as you say, it'll be up to different people as to whether they want the immersion or want the
Yeah.
want to be able to just get the recognition.
You can see the types. There's a machine gun icon, a rifle squad, obviously a scout car, so forth.
Yeah, we'll come back and talk about this, but I think one of the planning abilities that the game has got is this line of sight tool, which is really really valuable. Like, and so when you actually hover over areas or sort of have a look at different areas, you can then sort of see what's actually impacting the like. And did you want to maybe talk a little bit about what I'm doing here? Like, I've got the farmhouse, and as I sort of come back
You're
out, we've
trying
got
to draw a line between one place and another and see if they can see each other, and it's two ways. If you can see it, it can see you. But obviously, things like hedges will interfere. Obviously, buildings will interfere, trees, elevations, so forth. This gives you the detail. Now, I'm going to teach you a cute trick here, which is really nice. So, exit the line of sight. But this is when you really want to understand in detail. Why the hell can't I see that? Just click any random hex whatsoever. Left click. Line of sight, right there. Click somebody else. So you
yeah,
can quickly, without even going into the tool, see the line of sight for any hex on the map, including your own, including the enemy. So go pick the Englander hex. See, this is a cute trick, because now you can see if there's somebody in there, that's what they see. So now you know what hexes in theory are safe to you.
so
Now,
you
there's a
can
lot of fog of war, meaning maybe there's some English or somewhere you're not expecting. But for what you're thinking that there's somebody there, that's what they would see.
yes, yep. There was more in this though, and I was just wondering if you could actually
There's
explain
more
the
detail in here.
the
The
nuance
dog,
of like that then goes
the
from
map.
green to yellow, like with the green yellow line.
So it's basically saying, hey, you started green and now you're degraded to like probably 30% left because you went through that hedge line. And if you like tried to drag yourself through multiple hedge lines, you'd probably see it go green, yellow, red, or something.
Yeah,
There
we
you
go.
go.
There's a red. Yep, and then we've
That's the
got
last hedge you'll see.
the
Yep.
elevation down the bottom there. What's that actually telling us?
So it's telling you for across that line, you could see like it was flat, 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 then it went up one level, then went another. If you look carefully at the map there, you can see that
Yep,
it's climbing, right? That it's going up, and it's literally showing you how the elevation's increasing on the map.
yep. And then
So
once we
your
get
your guys are coming in with a certain advantage because they're coming in on some hills, as you can see, right?
yes, yeah. So we're from that position, we're relatively safe, and even getting into here, we have some protection. Not there, but in these two areas
Right.
with the red. So if people are trying to plan where they think that they could push a unit, they could certainly go that way. And of course, we see that this hex here is really quite secure from that position. But I guess they don't have to be just there, do they? They could be hidden anywhere.
Well, yes, it's possible the British don't want to make it easy for you and don't want to be predictable, but I can't imagine we would do that to you.
Yes. But the line of sight tool is
During
for
the campaign, as you become a sophisticated infantry commander, you'll start to do what real commanders do, from what we've seen, which is you'll start to read the map and say, "Oh yeah, if I were the Germans or the Americans, I would put a machine, or the British here, I'd put a machine gun there. Oh, that's where I'd put my anti-tank gun." Right? You'll start to see the landscape not as fields and trees, but as cover and lines of sight.
yes, yeah. And look, even in the tutorial, you experience that really quite dramatically, which is quite nice. Like even just their way of sort of pushing things along. I think also if we have a look at these are the different commanders that we have at the top through here.
Right.
And do you want me to do you want me to just hover over
Pick
one?
one.
Sorry.
Pick one. Why don't you?
Yep. Okay.
All right, now, so it takes you to there. You can see him outlined with a selection, and that's actually probably a tricky one because
Yeah.
no, actually you can see it, but pick an infantry guy. Like, pick the guy on the map up a little bit with the helmet right there. This one's a little simpler.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see that he's got a selected infantry squad under him. Look over in the far left. You can see that one selected because it's indented out. If you look below on the map, you can see two that have on the map under him where he is on the map. You can see two highlighted in dashed lines. That's another way to represent his platoon. He's got 3 squads in his platoon. Actually, it looks like he's got 4 units. So one under him, one to the south, and so forth. You can click on any of those guys over on the left to see where they are if you're not sure.
So we've got that
Right?
one.
So now,
That one's
etc.
great to the
So
south.
several ways you get to see your command. It's a leadership game. So you're in charge. A given leader is in charge of a certain organization, a platoon, 3 squads, right? And he can't order random other squads around. I mean, the other platoon commander will not be happy you're trying to give orders to his platoon. So the leadership game's a lot about which organization do I use now? Should I use the scout cars? Should I use the rifle platoon? Should I use something other element I have? When? Right? You can't do it all at once. You don't get everything at once.
And so with the because essentially you've got lieutenants, which is these guys all lieutenants, are they? Yeah, lieutenant.
There should be one captain in there, which is you.
Yes, and the captain is the exception to what you were just saying, where their role is to step in where a lieutenant needs a little bit more support. Is that the way you see it?
They're the glue. They're the glue. So the captain is special
There
in
we
that
go.
he can order any unit anytime. So you might be moving first platoon forward with that lieutenant, but you really want the machine gun from second platoon to fire. So they use the captain to do what's called take command and say, okay, get that one going. Think about Wilson Band of Brothers, right? He's stepped back, but he's still helping his lieutenants orchestrate things. They're the glue that orchestrates your attacks. But otherwise, you in a given round called a leadership round, you do one organization. Then the AI, the enemy, gets to do one organization, and you. But the captain can step in, sort of save your bacon,
Yes.
or just
Yeah.
coordinate.
And it's the intricacy of like we're now sort of well and truly out of the role play aspect of the game, but it's still connected to the role play. This is now the game mechanics in purely a tactical sort of sense to a large degree.
Correct.
Of how you then sort of operate with these. And again, I found this fascinating that the way that you managed to distill the systems into a way that you were really focused on these lieutenants and your captain to try to get the best result for the group.
I would love to say I was brilliant, but a lot of his team, and also a lot of play testing and feedback. And I'll give you an interesting example. So I was going to do what some board games do, which is, you got a leader, and anybody in range you can grab and do whatever you want. And curiously enough, one of the writers, Paul Wang, said, you really should make them in charge of a specific platoon because it will make the player bond with that particular platoon. So I've got to call on first platoon. They're the most experienced. They have the most stars, Those people know Panzer Corps or something. I got to bring in first. Oh, no, I can't do first platoon. They've been beaten up so badly in the shores of Africa. I'm not going to. So I listened to them, and it made it a better game, not only emotionally, but tactically, because I'm always trying to be I'm always trying to be a bastard who doesn't give you enough resources. Sid Meier said interesting decisions are what games are about. And my belief is that interesting decision is one where you don't get enough to do what you want. You wish you could do 3 things and can only do 1. So I try to put you in a position like, I want to activate everybody here to close in on the chateau. Nope, pick one. Man, I want to rally everybody, organize a firefight, use my leader's super 6 ways. Damn, I can only have enough orders to do action points to do 2.
Yes, yep. And so when we're looking at the, did you want to maybe even talk about what we're seeing with the dots and the hearts?
Yeah, I think this is core. So this is XCOM in the sense that the action points of the green circles, these are very experienced troops, so they're better than you'd see in your early cotton balers. This leader has 5 orders. He can use the orders to core, activate his squads, right? Hey, you go there. And once he activates a squad, it can keep doing its own thing. It's sort of like, that particular sergeant's been told, look, you're going to move ahead and do whatever, and now they're free and activate it. But until you spend an order on that, they aren't. And then his other orders could be done on something like, probably the most central command in the game is bolster, which is basically use it with the squad, you're sitting with it, it improves its firefighting, it improves its morale so it can do assaults. It gives it more movement points. It's basically one-time buff, if you want to use game terminology. he can, but he's got to be there, right? He's got to go bolster them and go on the assault himself for it to take effect. So he basically is your buff pumper-upper of all your squads, but at the same time, he's also got to activate, and especially when you're first starting, I'm sure you've been frustrated, Das, right? Damn, I had 4 orders, I activated my 3 squads, and I need to do 2 more bolsters, and I can do 1. Who am I going to give it to? So your leader is often running around his platoon like, I help you, I got to rally you, I got to bolster you, I got to direct your fire. But damn, I can't do it all. Should I leave the squad behind so I can move ahead with the other guys? But God, he needs to rally. What if I arrive with not enough strength? So it's always like, give you too few things to do a lot of things you want.
I found that actually it's funny you mentioned that, because you start to gamble with the action points of units that aren't quite as cohesive as they could be, and because you're trying to reach a certain part of the map, and as you said before,
let me say something very important there. Morale. You see the green? So the unit you got selected's got green bars there. Green means good morale. Yellow means weak morale. There's nobody red right now because you're just starting to fight. And red would be bad, right? And what you're trying to do is keep your morale fantastic because you fire more effectively, you risk assaults, and you're trying to make the enemy's morale suck, right? So they surrender or run away. You're trying to turn them red and stay green, if I were going to simplify it. But this game is a human-centered game. It's not sprites moving map. It's people. People need to be motivated. If they're, I'll channel Band of Brothers again. There's a wonderful scene where, man, all the soldiers are like they're somewhere in early France, in Normandy, and they're all lying on the ground, and I guess he was doing a grandstand, wasn't he? Winters is running around, literally kicking them in the butt, saying, "Get up! You've got to get out there and get that machine gun, right? You've got to keep their morale going, or they're going to suffer, right? You've got to take the responsibility for these lives. Sometimes it's your personal risk."
Well, should we start to move some of the elements around?
Do something, for God's sake.
Yep.
Not philosophy. Not theory.
So I'll start to
what
position.
are you doing, Doc? What's your plan, man?
Well, I'm looking here to see, like, again, just trying to sort of see, like, what benefit would I have to, for example, put a machine gun there. I get a little bit into this area through this. I might just use a line of sight tool.
Click something. Like click that spot.
Yep,
so that's the coverage. You can see these fields are going to mess you up, but zoom out a little bit. It's complicated, right? You can see over some of those fields out there. So actually, it's not as bad as it seems. And yellow is weapon range, right? So that's not a bad position, actually. And can it see the chateau? I don't know. Can it? Mouse over the chateau. That's not the chateau.
Oh, sorry, the chateau. Oh, yes, it does. It does see it. And there we go.
That could be a very nice position, actually.
Okay, well,
now you're thinking like a commander, right? Like, where am I going to situate my machine guns?
So you're now. I'm just thinking in terms of small axes, and that's a very strategic position, isn't it? Really, and so we have a machine gun right here. So if I look at and maybe we'll just talk a little bit about the way that the orders and the elements sort of then work. So I've got choices, and we can see that these have all got the same symbol. I'll just zoom in so that hopefully it'll show a little bit more clearly on the map.
Yeah, that's helpful.
So that unit there. When we have a look at it, when I go and click on it, this is a machine gun. Move your mouse
away from it now that you've selected it. And now you can see its little icon, like it's a little eagle or something there. Anybody else with that icon you can see in the far left is a member of that organization.
Yeah.
I guess they're wings.
Yes. And so with the hearts over here, this is the trust levels. So his troops believe in him. Is that would be the way of sort of like a Nelson?
Basically, they believe he's put his own ass on the line earlier in the war, and you build up trust when you play the cotton balers. And what it means is they'll follow you. So if you are trusted and you say go assault that, and you bolster and you've got high trust, it goes from 1 heart to 5 hearts, 1 star to 5 stars, then they'll follow you on all likelihood.
Yep. Now, at this first move, I don't feel that I'm under any pressure to get the order of my commanders right. I feel that I can just sort of start. Yep, so I'll just start to move from the top down. So I'm going to be moving into this position over through here. So if I go and left-click on that one, he'll then move
when
through.
you do that, you're committed to using a certain platoon now, and you'll see that in a moment. So they're getting to place. It's interesting it's running like that. I wonder if something. Oh my God. Well, okay, we're gonna have a response. Something's happened. Oh, okay. You just had a reveal. So you believe that there's a, and they just got shot. Oh my God! I haven't seen this happen this quickly. Okay. Well, I guess the British thought that was a good spot to hit target too. Oh, wow. I've never seen that story. Okay, so what happened there was very complicated, but good surprise, right? So you did a reasonable thing. You moved in, you moved behind the hedges, but the British, let's scroll over to the chateau on the far left.
Did it come from the chateau? The actual shot?
Yeah, because you saw a little reveal there.
Yes, there we are. Yep.
Yes, you can see there's a British unit in there. Actually, it's it's actually
there.
not in it. It's one.
Yeah, a Vickers machine gun.
So they put a machine gun there. Aren't they clever bastards? And well, you found some enemy, but maybe not the way you wanted. They saw you running in the open. They shot you. In real battles, the worst thing can happen to you is to be caught by surprise in the open. That's when casualties happened. If you were prepared, you'd get down behind the stone wall and they could fire and fire and fire and probably not cause casualties. But this kind of situation, you may have taken casualties. I didn't notice.
I think I did.
But you panicked, which is unusual for such good troops. If you led them, they probably wouldn't have, but that's okay. Yes, his morale's a little down. These are very good troops, so they're only light green now as opposed to dark green. So they're still usable, but they lost 2 of their orders because the morale's weaker. And welcome to combat. If you want to move them more effectively, maybe bolster them now and try and move them. Is that the same? That's the wrong. It's a little more complicated. His officer is somewhere else. Where's his officer? Click on his officer on the left. Top left. Not top. Far left.
That one?
That's him.
Yep.
Is that him? No, that's not him. Go back and click on the machine gun.
Yeah, I can't actually click on it.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go.
Okay.
Yep.
Click
this
on
one
him
here.
far left. Or that him. Click him. Yes, you were right. Click him. Let's see where he is.
The commander? Yep, down the bottom.
I see. He's spread out. So you have a problem. He's down south with another machine gun. And rightly or wrongly, the Germans have spread out their machine guns. They got one of this platoon up north. I personally would hesitate to do that. One down south. So he actually can't go help that guy easily, but your captain could if he needed to.
Right, yeah, because the captain's up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in
it's
this...
not desperate. You took a whack. It's not the end of the world.
Now, if we have a look at the... let's just go through actually what happened again in a little bit of detail. So we're seeing now a fair few of the orders have got a spent order, even the ones we didn't actually even move. And this, again, is quite interesting in the game. The unit that we did move is this one way up here, which is actually now showing... It's because he's in the same position.
Oh, you know what? Oh my God, I forgot. I wondered why the other guys took a morale hit. So you had another thing happen. You had shock happen. So according to some of the studies, what happens if you discover the enemy has weapons you didn't know they had, classes of weapons, like, oh my God, they have tanks, or oh my God, they have machine guns, or oh my God, they have artillery. Then in real war, they freak out a little bit like, holy crap, they have machine guns. I don't want to cross that open. And so what happened was, not only did your machine gun guy run, but other units of yours saw the machine gun and said, oh crap, this is going to be a bad day. Their morale got whacked a bit. You can see some light green on the left, and their orders dropped. So you can do the same to the enemy, right? If you hold off your tank, like you have some, and expose it at the right moment, you'll freak out the Brits. They'll be very unhappy to discover you have, an armored car or a Stug.
Yeah, yep. So we've got like lines of armor up through here. We've got a tank at the top there as well. So with this one, then, like just to explain to people who aren't familiar with the game, we've got the lieutenant down through here who is actually connected with this particular group.
Correct.
He used one order to send the order to the guys to move. So he told those...
Up north.
Yep, so he told the guys here to move.
Correct.
And if we go and click on them, we actually keep on missing that one because of... actually, they keep on
Select
going.
them by themselves. select that machine gun up there by themselves. You've got a little complicated situation because he ran to another leader.
Yeah, he's with the captain actually.
But click it again.
Yep, now
Now
we got
he's
him.
by himself. Yeah, he just doesn't have enough morale right now to move through the terrain he's got left, so he's sort of stuck.
So he's stuck there. He
Yeah.
didn't take. Now there is like little icons that show if there's sort of like the number of lives. So he's got like 6 lives that are in there. I thought he did take.
You would show go mouse over him. I don't think he took any casualties. Mouse over him over there. Yes, you would see a red dot if you'd taken a casualty where the green squares are. So
Yes.
he took no casualties. What for you?
So the green squares that have gone to grey, are they? Does that correlate with its suppression? Is that the way that's working, or is that just?
That correlates with suppression. So as you take more suppression, those will go away, and you'll only have like 4, and the others will be gray. So base morale is like 10. Every star is another one. So if you've got 1 star, you're 11 morale. If you've got 2 stars, you're 12 morale, etc.
Yep.
But if you've been whacked by being shot at like this guy was probably, move the mouse away for a moment. Let's see how, he's a 3-star unit, so he'd be a 13 morale, 130% effective. But he got whacked enough that he's now a 8 or 9 morale.
Yeah,
right?
I think
He
he's
took like
9.
4 or 5 hits of morale.
Yeah, he's got 9.
Right, he's not as strong as he was.
Yeah, you
He's
can
still
see.
effective. He's shaken is a way to think about him. He's
Yeah,
a bit of a mess, but not bad.
but no casualties, which is. And I saw there was like a 3 symbol came up, but I'm not sure what that was for. But the
That was probably 3 suppression or more, but you didn't take any casualties in. You got lucky.
Yeah, that was lucky. I assumed that he'd taken like 3 hits. So when we look at the actual
Machine
units,
gunners-
again, just to try to
Brits are probably
explain.
pissed they didn't get you.
Sorry, what was that?
I said the Brits are probably pissed they didn't cause any casualties.
Well, we know that that's a problem now, so at least we've got a bit of an idea as to what we can then start to sort of then go and do. And I guess that we've been playing now for over an hour. I mean, not playing this part of the game, but there's a lot of complexity, not complexity in a bad way. I guess intricacy with the way that the game actually. This is why I'm really loving the fact that it's an intimate map, like it's a smallish map where a lot of things matter. And so just with that one move, as you said before, a lot actually happened. Now, I'm not sure why the other guys in his area through here also then decided to.
They took shock, remember? Because they saw a
suppression.
machine gun hit
Yep.
their morale, some, and it reduced their orders.
So if I go and have a look at these
Because
guys, yeah,
if
there's-
your morale goes down, your orders go down.
right, yep.
You
And
can
so
see that. Look, he has 2 gray ones there, right? He's now an 11 where he was a 13 or something. Yeah.
yep, that's right.
So
Yep.
he's lost. He took some shock. Now they're used to the fact there are machine guns there. They won't freak out anymore, but they were not happy to see that.
And I can hit this. And
Hey, you've got a machine gun. You could fire it back. If you have a leader with him, it's good. Now, there's a prediction. This looks pretty good for you. It's claiming that you're going to win initiative, the big circle there, which is all about firing first, because then they will fire back weak, and that you'll make them go red, which would be great. Then they'll be cowering while you stay green, which is great. Why are you doing so well? Let me look. You're surprising them. Oh, look down there. That's interesting. I was wondering why you're doing so well. They don't know you're there. You're above them, and they haven't had an attack of this type machine gun before. They've got some cover, but that's why you're going to whack them, because you're coming out of cover. You're doing to them what they did to you.
So this attack novel then is actually that's what that means. That it's a surprise weapon for them.
It means the first time they've been attacked by this class of weapons, machine guns, they'll do it once for a rifle, they'll do it once, I think, for artillery, and after that they'll get used to it. Because again, remember, I'm a weirdo, well, I don't know if I've been said, but I studied a lot of psychology and things like, look at your cat. Do this in front of your cat. Cat will move its ear towards the sound, but if you keep doing it, it what's it called? It acclimates, I'm forgetting the term, but basically habituates, that's the term, meaning, forget it, man. I'm not paying attention to your stupid snap. I've heard it before. Same with soldiers, right? They got, oh my God, machine gun fire. Oh, yes, okay, machine gun fire. We got to get down, right? They habituate. They get used to it and becomes less scary.
Yep. So in this case, that's one option we have is to hit that one from that sort of distance. With the group that we actually have here, like this particular squad, he is not with any of these guys. He's with this guy here, which is just this is another machine gunner, isn't it?
This is your heavy weapons platoon. So he's got all your machine guns he's in charge of, and you can see one's northwest of him, so forth.
Well, that's the one that we were just looking at. Now, is it a good idea for us to move just the lieutenant up to this one to help him with that attack? Or is it better for us...
The most effective thing you can do is take a high-quality unit with a high-quality leader, ideally like a machine gun, which are very effective, and bolster fire. The only tricky part might be they might see you getting there, so we could try to... But we can... It's tricky for you to get there, but you could do it. I would try to do that. Let's try it. It's a good tactic, so just select the leader.
So just select just the leader himself. So what I just explained to people...
Run over there.
I've clicked on the leader twice to select the leader, and I'm now going to... I can't quite get there in one go.
Heavy terrain, so go into the woods probably. Yep, there you go.
Now I'm going to have to expose...
Hope you don't get seen.
So let's go...
Orange square is important. Orange square means an enemy, listen to me carefully, a known enemy can fire on that hex, presumably that machine gun. Doesn't mean that the hex you're about to go through doesn't have some unknown enemy who could fire, but let's be clever. Left click on a hex you're worried about. Left click on a hex. Left click again. Now you saw the line of sight. Zoom out a little bit. Look, that's safe.
Yeah, so it's
Unless
hidden.
they're sitting in a field right near you, they're not going to see you.
And even that's safe from that one unit. It's only this one here.
Like a real commander, I'm not going to be stupid and run in front of that church where they probably got a sniper, right? You're gonna pick your movement sensibly.
So again, just going back to our group with that. So we know that from the Vickers machine gun, they can't see these two hexes. They can sort of see this hex, but this is also...
Orange tells you they can definitely see it, but you've got cover.
Yes, so we're in cover there, and they're not all really aware of it. So again, if we were clicking on the commander, clicking him a second time, because we're just going to move him into this position here. So I'm just going to do a right click now. I guess the interesting thing is to watch his orders.
Exactly, because you're using up your capacity. They're confirming you really just wanted to move the leader. Yep. Okay. So now, here we can do something sophisticated here if you want. One problem for you is when he moves in that hex, which we know those British machine guns see, right? The orange.
Yep.
He might get spotted. He's one guy. He's moving in the woods. Decent chance he won't. But if you want to be safe about it, look at your action icons down the bottom. Think like XCOM, all your orders. There's one called crawl. That's it.
Creep.
And that'll cost you 2 orders. Pretty expensive. Your leader's ability to activate other units. It's very expensive. He'll have 1 order left when he gets there, just enough to sort of help the guy fire. Now, you've got a tough decision here, Das. You could play it safe. You could creep. Probably won't be seen creeping. Very expensive for you. All your other machine guns can't do things this turn because you're doing that. So, how lucky are you feeling?
Well, I feel pretty lucky because I was pretty unlucky. The RNG owes me one. Because what do I need?
Well, there's definitely RNG in this game, like Real War. Okay, good luck.
So with the
I think reasonable.
When we
Don't
have
bolster yet, just
because bolster we have to be with the group, don't we? To actually use the bolster.
You can bolster yourself, but normally that's odd.
Go in
there.
I meant with this group down in here. We want to actually assist this group with.
You wanted to go up there, didn't you, and help them fire?
Yeah.
Or do you want to help the unit fire? I'm for what you wanted to do. The one above, right?
Yeah, I want to get the lieutenant into this into the machine gun. So I'm just going to move up.
Do it.
I won't creep in this case.
Don't creep. Too expensive. See if you got away with it.
Yep, I did.
Okay, now, I think you did. I don't see the little green eyeball on your things. That means you think you're hidden from all known enemies. In other words, you don't believe they saw you. Doesn't mean somebody you don't know about didn't see you. But as far as you know, nobody saw you. Okay, now you can do the full ritual, bolster and fire. This is the most effective thing you can do with firing.
Yep, so we've got the bolster here. And down the bottom here we have recon by fire if we needed to. We've got a few other little things that we can do. So this is so with this particular unit here, it's just a click on the bolster, isn't it, at this point in time?
Correct. And then right-click on the target that's in green. There you go. Bolster them. You're going to pump up the morale. You're leading a firefight. You can see them improving morale. And now target the enemy. This will be a one action effect, one action buff. Okay, and the yellow means you can target him. All right, so now you notice leader benefit. Look, 3 pluses in the little chart below. 3 is the best you can do for a given benefit. Surprising's 2 pluses. Leader benefits 3 pluses, etc. You're crushing it. And look at initiative chance. 3 advantages from leader. Surprising, meaning you're almost surely going to get the fire first, which means they're going to be keeping their head down and not fire back. You want to fire first. Let me say one more thing. Design decision. This is not fire one bullet. You're trying to do volume of fire. You're trying to pile the bullets on those poor bastards so they go down behind the wall or the hedge or whatever and don't fire back, right? Like real soldiers would do. So who can achieve that volume of fire first? That's what we call winning initiative.
So I'm going to just right click here and give it a crack.
All right, let's see. From above, surprise. That's good. Oh, okay. Interesting thing happened. So you're zoomed out a bit. Let's look at them. Some bad news for you. You did everything right, but zoom in on them, the enemy.
On the enemy?
On the enemy. And mouse over him. Bad news for you. Okay. Don't fire again yet. Just left click the enemy for now. Well, you can leave it like that. Doesn't matter. There they are. They're still green. Why the hell are they green? I told you that you did everything right. You were going to whack them. The reason is they did something called undaunted, which is another psychological mechanic. These are very veteran troops. They're British paratroopers. They're not going to give up easily. So, quick story. During U.S. paratroopers, I read a book about this guy. He was a Medal of Honor winner, and he had to cross this river called Vol, they got across this as in Bridge Too Far. There's machine gun fire everywhere. They're running across fields. My combat model said they should hit the ground and cower, right, because all this fire they're taking. He didn't. He just kept going with his men. Why? I'm wrong. Why are they doing this? And I went back and read it, and I started noticing things like, we were so angry. We just wanted to get across the field and kill those Germans. I thought of all my buddies who died. I just wanted to kill the bastards. And so that's where Undaunted came from. Experienced troops are able to say, well, screw you. Yeah, I'll put my head down some, but I'm going to get you, bastard. And so these British paratroopers said, yeah, I see you're beating me up with machine gun fire, but I'm not going to cower. I'm going to keep going. If you're fighting Vichy early in the cotton balers, they'll all cower. They're like, please, let me surrender. Oh, please. Italians, oh, please, God, can I surrender? But experienced troops, they want to do their job, right? They're motivated. These are motivated troops. You knocked them down some, but they made their dice roll, and they're still going. You can see they're not dark green anymore. They're a little lighter. But you didn't have much success as you deserved because you're fighting experienced paratroopers.
Hey, we used up our luck getting the commander into the area. But
strangely enough, the British paratroopers are going to be challenging.
Yes. It's and again, it's a game where like we can now look back at our unit and we can sort of see. I think I'm as zoomed in as I can be. He's now used up all of his orders as such.
Yep.
So he really, like, as far as his group is concerned, they can still fire back, can't I? Just with the machine gunners.
Yes, with the machine gun, I think.
Yep. So I can still actually have one more
whack
shot.
One more time. But you can't lead and bolster. You might get lucky this time. Let's see what happens.
So we'll have another go. We've still got surprising. Actually, that's interesting.
They didn't spot you. You got lucky.
Oh, really? So if we have a look,
Yeah, that's RNG too, right? Which is there's a chance that they won't spot you when you fire. Which is
so
real soldiers on the battlefield were shocked, unlike the movies, how rarely they actually saw the enemy shooting them.
So they fired.
Nicer than that.
They fired back into where the muzzle fire had come from, basically from in here, trying to do that scouting by shooting.
But they're sort of guessing.
Yep. Okay, but they didn't actually spot us, so we still have the surprise factor.
Right.
All right, let's give it another crack.
Important.
So now we don't actually have our commander directing anymore because he's out of orders.
But you activated this machine gun, so it can keep firing. Come on, good luck. Let's see if you get some luck here. I didn't see Undaunted yet. Okay, go look at the enemy. Look at that! Red. Now they're basically no threat. So they didn't make their roll this time. They thought, oh, screw this, man. I'm keeping my head down. I want to live. I live for another day. So now, if they were to fire on you in some spot, they're going to be ineffective, and they probably won't even fire if they do see you because they're head down right now.
Yep, yep. So that red, the red and the grey, it's got the grey with the red.
Gray means this unit is spent too. Look, no orders.
Yep,
So this is doubly not a threat right now. Their morale sucks. They're probably, they're cowering, and they have no orders left because you whack their morale. They're not willing to do anything. So these guys are not going to fire at you this turn.
Yep, yep. Now, interestingly, we've now sort of used with the other units that are around. Like, for example, this guy here is part of the same group, and I can't move him. And I guess we need to explain to people why that's the case. Like, just so that there's a even though he's got 3 action points, people can say, "Hey, he's got 3 action points. Why can't I move him?" You want to explain
leadership game, right? You've got to take command. You've got to give them. You've got to tell them what to do, right? Right. Squads don't run around on their own. They got to respond to the chain of command, as it's called, right? So what the head of the platoon wants them to do. So you burned all your orders to do some very effective fire, but now you can't command your platoon. Maybe this is a tension we see with players, right? Like, maybe it's better I sit back and just orchestrate things rather than lead and be brave and cool. But there's a trick here, right? Your captain, which you were probably leading me to. There's a button that's still lit up down there called Take Command on bottom. And basically says, let the captain, he's a pool of extra action points. You can use him here if you really still want to do something with this platoon.
Which I don't with this one, because he's actually just looking at where he is. He's seeing parts of the road. Yeah. He's seeing the actual location, and he's seeing this tree line. So he's in a very good position there right from the start.
You might want to keep him. You don't have to do it now, right? You will get to come back to these guys if you want later.
Yep. And
I'll remind you of mortars, which are indirect artillery later, so some of your leaders will be able to hit in... there you go, right there in mortar. Yep. So that will need to take command, and then you'd be able to fire that mortar. If somebody could spot a hex, the mortar can fire on it indirectly, which is a fancy way to say shoot indirectly. So the mortar can be hidden behind a hill, shoot in an arc over the hill, and hit the enemy as long as some spotter, like one of your leaders, can see the target.
And that has to be the captain?
It depends on how the scenario designed it. That 4th platoon leader, who now has no orders, my guess is he could have given support, but we can't tell anymore because he's spent. Yep. Try the captain, though. I'm sure the captain has some capacity. I would think he does. Click him.
Yep. So
put mouse over this. It's the middle button, top.
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, let me be clear. Down to the bottom.
Yep.
There you go.
Support.
Click it. Let's see what it says. It's lit up, so that's a good sign. There you go. Yep. Right? So you could use your captain to fire the mortars. You could have also used the leader you used up.
So here we can actually either decide on high explosive or smoke. So if we were, again, using the line of sight tool, we'd be able to stop them from seeing a direction that we want to go.
Or degrade their ability to see it.
Yeah. I'll cancel that, though, because I just wanted to, again, I'm trying to show how the game is making you choose your leadership options at this point in time.
He made certain decisions with his leader, and he could have done other things. He didn't do wrong because he beat up an important position that allows him to move forward.
Yeah.
But he kind of lost command and control of 4th platoon with all those other weapons. Maybe the captain can save him. It might have been just the right call, right? Because if he'd done wonderfully active everybody, maybe they'd all been whacked. So who knows what was right? This was a decision he made.
So I'm pretty happy with with where these two are. The mortars at the back here are fine. They don't need to be moved anywhere else as well.
Right.
And so it really comes down to this machine gunner that was taking the damage initially, the one that actually triggered this whole thing. I would still like him back in this position. So is that something?
He seem to have enough capacity to move still. So
yeah.
I'm not sure why. I think they. Oh, I know why. I forgot. They're big. Yes. Answer that simple. Machine guns are big pieces of equipment. Guess what? They're hard to move. They take 2 orders to move. Right. So he's only got 1 order left. If you're a rifle squad, you could run forward, but these guys would have to get the gear and move it forward, etc. So your problem is you ran out of orders to move a machine gun. If he had a target, he could still fire. he doesn't really have any interesting target to fire on.
Yep. And if we were playing as the Americans or the British, etc., it would be 2 action points to actually fire their machine guns, wouldn't it?
Their dedicated machine guns are still like normal machine guns, but your rifle squads also have a. Let me put it differently. All machine guns everywhere, like this one, British American, are the same. 1 order per fire. But rifle squads normally take 2 orders to fire.
Ah, right.
But your German rifle squads, because they have a machine gun in them, take 1 order to fire.
Ah, that's what it was, yes.
In other words, you've got a machine gun in every damn squad. Sick.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you don't control the skies or the Navy, right? So not everything's going according to German plan right now.
No, it's sort of funny how it's played out. We've moved, 2 units and already had drama. We have our captain. We have the captain up in here who does actually have other abilities. Is there any way for him to help this unit move? Can he give extra?
Okay, I have a good question again. So click the captain. He has a fancy command called press. Go find press down below.
Yep, there it is.
Press is, you can one time give, it's a freebie. One time you can give a unit back in order. So now it would have 2, but then you won't be able to do that again for that unit until it rests, right? You're going to say, come on, keep going. I know you're exhausted. Just keep going. I'm pressing you. So this is, do it. Let's learn.
Because I really want that unit back in that corner. So
yep, all right.
Now just right click.
See, got an order. Now try move him. You can move him with the captain or without. See, you did it.
So the captain has actually now lost an order. This guy's gained an order by using that one there.
Right.
And so with the machine gunners, I am now going to try this again.
Exactly. Very good.
And I will add the captain to this one as well, because I think
it's a nice position. The captain can direct fire too.
Yeah.
Or spot orders.
Yep. So he'll be able to then spot if we need the sort of better things. So it would be my thinking. So let's go and do it.
Yeah. So each spend an order to do it. You can see it was 2 order cost for the machine gun. All right, and now the machine gun's spent, but next turn it will be available to do nasty things.
And they're still both hidden, so they weren't spotted moving back in there.
Well done.
So
let's do one more thing. Introduce it while we're doing. Check the facing. In this case, it's sort of silly, but just click the unit just so people get used to that. Units have facing. So there's a button still active down there called facing. You could make him by right-clicking south or north, face north or south if you had some reason to. Right now, they're facing the right direction. I just wanted to get across that they're already facing that direction.
Yeah.
That you could change the facing if you needed to. Okay.
And I guess this is an important point, because people are used to changing the facing of armor, but they're not used to changing the facing of infantry. But in this case, it's something you do have to be aware of in the game.
They have a limited arc of fire, which I could show you except for the unit being spent. And they also have flanks, right? So think back, people like Civil War battles or something. Man, you got attacked on flank, it was over. Same in this game. If you get attacked on your flank, you're not prepared for that. Really bad for assaults and morale and for being shot at. You don't want to be flanked.
Yep. Okay, now at this point in time, we've actually we've spent the unit that we were currently had active, essentially. He and his units are pretty much done unless we use the captain. So just summarising the way that the game uses these orders. At that point, if I then go and choose another one, for example, this one through here, I don't have action. I can't do anything with him because the action that we had was actually we had started off. Sorry, I'll try to put this into context. I can zip in with the captain at any point to be able to, while I've got this particular leader active. At the moment, he is my active lieutenant, and the captain has stepped in to lend some of his orders to the units. I then need to actually end his turn to be able to then allow the enemy to choose one of their leaders to do the same thing, and then we get our leader back. We get to then choose one of the other leaders that hasn't moved. That's the. Would that be the best way of describing it? Do you think?
You can't do everything, right? So you can only get one organization going at a time. So you're getting 4th platoon, your weapons. You did things with him. You made a choice as opposed to using your scout cars or something. That was all good, but you can't get it all done. And now this is sort of trying to get a little bit of more real time in a turn-based game, right? Things would all be happening simultaneously. So by swapping back and forth, we're letting the enemy have a vote too. You do something, they're doing something. It's not like I'll move every single unit on the map before the Brits do anything. Realistically, everybody be doing things at the same time. Turn-based game. We kind of simulate that by you get to do a bit, now they get to do a bit, you get to do a bit, and you have to decide your leader, which organizations, when to use the captain, how to use your orders.
So in this case, though, to switch it across, I can end the leader round, which is not end the turn. Yeah. So we're going
to... game turn is a series of leader rounds.
Yep. So, and just to explain to people how this then works is that each of our leaders will get a turn in the turn. Like they'll get a round within the turn. Right. It's up to us which leader we, like when it's our turn to sort of start again, we then dictate which one we want to then take. Again, we have to make a decision of which one is the right one to use at that position.
Exactly. How will you orchestrate who at what time?
Yep. And then the enemy gets, so by ending the leader round, they then will have one of their leaders be able to then sort of play out a part of this, like, you know, their own orders if they wish to. Now, what actually happens?
We should say something really important before I forget. You and I take for granted now, the audience won't. Did you notice that when you fired multiple times, even with leaders and everything at that British machine gun squad, you didn't kill it? In most games, XCOM included, and I love XCOM, by the way, it's not a ding on XCOM. Bang, 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 you're dead, right? In this game, no, because the statistics and the evidence is they're like, in World War II, it's like 30 or 40,000 small arms, 40,000 bullets before you even did a casualty, which is a wound. That's not a KIA, not dead. It's a wound. That's not XCOM. And we want to model that. What you're doing with the bullets is you're suppressing them. You're forcing them down. And I'm really thrilled, by the way. I know them a little bit. The guys who are doing the Menace, right? The Battle Brothers guys who are doing a very successful game Menace right now, they have a suppression model too, right? So you are not going to kill enemies normally by firing a lot at them. Maybe if you spend all your turns doing it forever, you might get there. But no, you suppress them, you find them, you fix them with fire, you flank them ideally, and you finish them by assault. That's the way it happened in World War II, in small infantry things, and that's what you've got to do, which means unpleasantly, you will have to cross those fields and get rid of them. They're not going to just like stand up and say, "Oh, I give up, please, can I walk over and get killed?"
Yep, just bear with me 1 second, I'll just pause. Now, Luke, just quickly, you were then just going through about the 4 Fs, and it's a big premise in the actual game itself. Can you go into more detail, and maybe from the perspective of the Vickers machine gun that we actually have back over through here? Do you want me to zoom out so we can see our forces as well?
Yeah, let's talk about that from a that's good. So, some of you played Brothers in Arms back in the day will recognize fine the 4F, so they are fine. What does that mean? Well, that means locate the enemy, right? And, you know, we know there are a lot of enemies out here, probably, and yet we don't know where they are, which kind of sucks. And yet you did find one, maybe not in the ideal way by your machine gun, right? You know, in a perfect world, you would have maybe moved up a spotter or a squad into some forest and seen them and they wouldn't see you. There's another trick you can use called recon by fire. It's one of the buttons, which is you think they might be in that chateau, so you shoot at it and hope you'll make them panic and shoot back, and then you know they're there. So first, find the enemy, all right? Look at this blank map. And yet it's full of threat. Find the enemy, because otherwise you're going to get whacked a lot, right? Next, fix them. That's a fancy way to say suppress them. What does suppress do? Makes the morale bad. Who cares? Well, when the morale's bad, their shooting sucks. Their movement sucks. Their orders suck. They're ready to surrender. In other words, they're crap, right? So fix them. Then find, fix, flank. You know, this is sometimes a little overkill, but in a perfect world, you would then send up a squad. Now that they won't fire back, right, because they're suppressed, they're fixed, on the side, because flanking attacks are very effective for assaults and anything else. So in a perfect world, you'll come in from the flank. And they would do that. The Germans and Americans trained their troops like, okay, first fire the machine gun at them, lock them down, get them so they're cowering behind the wall. Now send those guys over to the woods and come in from the flank, and they'll surrender probably. And so, you know, you can watch training films. They train them on this explicitly. So find them, fix them, flank them, and finish them, which is basically go in and force them to surrender or run away with the assault.
Yeah, yeah. And it's sort of like, and again, it's you got what you said right at the very start of this video. You actually were talking about how you've got limited commands to try to do a lot of different things, and you have to make these very important strategic choices to be able to then achieve those 4 Fs, I guess. In this sense, we've been lucky to have that last shot, which did end up suppressing these. Now, we don't know what sort of damage.
Think of winners in the first battle you see in Band of Brothers, right? They have to take out the German artillery, which has machine gun support, in trenches. It's something that's still taught at West Point, apparently. What do? They put a lot of suppressive fire down. Then they start flanking, running down the trenches to surprise them. The guys are already freaked out, the Germans. They show up and they'll surrender sometimes. Sometimes they'll fight and die. But he did the 4Fs to them.
Right. It's been a long time since I've actually seen the series. It's I'll have to watch it again.
Well, later tonight.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I really want to see it now again. Now, we don't know what sort of damage has been done to these, do we? We don't actually know how many casualties they've taken. We just know that they're still there. Yep. And again,
they're cowering. They're not going to be they're not combat effective. You want to say it in fancy talk.
And so so many games focus on the deaths, like the who's alive and who's dead, and whereas that is almost very much a secondary importance, isn't it? Really, to the actual overall effectiveness of the actual unit itself.
Most important thing you can do is affect their morale, not kill them. I mean, if you could kill them all, that'd be great, but you can't because I always do this little test with them, like Das. I'm firing at you and you're near a stone wall. What do you do?
Yeah.
Right, you get down behind the stone wall, and guess what? Bullets don't go through stone walls. So it's going to be damn hard to kill you unless I have something like artillery or air power or something. So but I have fixed you, so now maybe I'll flank and finish you, Dust.
Yes, yeah. And you're not going to move. And this game, I think, captures that aspect of it incredibly, actually. It's not just a little bit. It's sort of like when I was trying to think of how do you actually present a game where the mechanics are just so unique. And actually, another thing I really wanted to touch on, and I know that we've sort of spent a lot of time really just delving into things. One thing that I mentioned before, where I was thinking about the game one night, and just when I was going to sleep, and it struck me, we're so connected to the actual we're so connected to the groups. Like, so for example, this lieutenant, this is. The lieutenant, sorry, I'll just get him in through here. So the one that we're it's still in his turn at this point in time. So this is him with his platoon. We don't know any of the units at all. We only know the lieutenant, and that's I found that in hindsight so surprising that the platoons are abstracted to the point where they do actually have men. We don't have individuals. We don't have personalities. All the personality comes back through the leader, which then makes you think that you're in the position of that person. It feels, and it's not it's really hard to put this into context because I was just so surprised that I felt so connected to a platoon, like all the groups in a platoon, with what they've been doing, but without having any actual individual little men. Well,
a couple of things. There's a wonderful game back in the past. Some of your viewers know Close Combat. They named everybody, and in some sense, we'd love to name them, but it was actually conscious not to at the moment because remember his role-playing game. Our core goal is cause you to feel the burden of command. If you don't care about any of the individuals and they're just sprites, there is no burden of command. Therefore, what did we have to do? We limited how many characters you learned, right? So that you could bond. If you have 100 men in a company, you have to know them all. You're not going to bond with anybody. But if you have 4 reports, Wilson and Dearborn and so forth, you're getting to know personally across the wars of cotton balers and their backstories and their lives and the decisions they've made in Morocco with you in Italy, which they remember in the RPG, then, you care. And then I guess the other obsessive quality is I just constantly ask myself, it's a leadership game. How can I emphasize the leader? So what a shock. The characters are primarily leaders. There are some enlisted. but and some sergeants, but it's primarily the direct leaders of platoons. It's where are all the benefits coming from? The leaders. Where are the most critical decisions? The leaders. What's the most devastating thing can happen to you? Lose a leader. What's the most effective thing you can do in fire? The leader. Now, I exaggerate some, but right, I wanted to keep a design focus. It's a leadership game.
Yeah.
Now, the experience of your squads and platoon, you can bond with your platoon
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that's Wilson's platoon, right?
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah.
men. And Wilson's so good, he's gotten them, he always leads assaults. And so, like the writer Paul suggested, you start to bond with the platoon, which is a weird thing, right?
It
But
is. It is. That's
we
exactly it. You've
bond with football teams as an abstraction. You know, I'm bonded to the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, which is a U.S. football team. But it's not, they're a group of individuals, but I care about the Philadelphia Eagles. So
But you
same
do.
here. I
But
care
the
about
difference there is, the individuals. Like
right.
the more you follow a team, the more you know the individuals. In this game, you feel that connection very, very solidly, without actually having little squaddies running around as well.
And
And I think,
I want to be fair to those of you who are former or vets or active or sergeants are probably the backbone for morale of units and the non-coms. They're called the non-commissioned officers. And we did a disservice somewhat consciously in the sense that we had to de-emphasize sergeants because we just couldn't do it all for the reasons I said. If we
yeah,
recognized every sergeant, first the mechanics would get very complicated. Secondly, you wouldn't connect. But I don't want to pretend. We exaggerate the role of lieutenants in this game, but hopefully not the role of leadership. But in the real units, sergeants are vital.
oh, and look, I'm not saying that what surprised me was how much connection I had to the
Interesting.
individuals that you were dealing with. Exactly what you were saying, and also how much connection I had to the actual individual platoons, like with what they were doing, like the actual squads in the platoons were. They would actually have their own histories and as a unit, and
You
I
can
didn't.
rename them, by the way, depending on the unit and so forth. You can change the portraits for them.
Oh,
Um,
really?
actually,
But
why don't you right-click on one of the units here? Here in this standalone scenario, you can't, but you can see if this were your core campaign, this is a unit you're keeping over the game, you could rename them, you could change the platoon symbol, so forth. In these standalone scenarios, no. But you get a decent amount of customization. Why? To bond you with the units. Here's the mindsets of your lieutenant, right? Which you would pick and choose as you went through the campaign. We're going to do a German campaign at some point,
that'd be cool. That'd
and
be.
then it'll.
I mean, it's to be honest, I didn't know that you could do this.
There's
So
a lot out there.
yeah, there is. I mean, that would be great to be able to name the different people. Actually, I've got another question. With the scenario design, the Vickers machine gun that is that always there? Are we giving spoilers?
So yes. So this is right now this game is a human design dedicated system as opposed to a procedurally generated each time one, which I would love to do eventually. Burden 2.0 will be that, but the upside is you get carefully designed ones that are smartly thought. But yes, they will always be there. Now, having said that, depending on what the AI is up to, it will move its units differently or not. This is a defensive scenario for the AI, so it's going to tend to, like you would, not get up and run around a lot because that's semi-suicidal, right? It's going to stay in its nice entrenched positions, and if you were to hide the bases, you might see, like, look north of him. There's some trenches in it, north of that unit, right? Which suggests there might be a unit in there. That's nice cover, hard to kill. So they're not going to move around a lot. But when the AI is on Benneville, if you play Benneville where the AI attacks, what another YouTuber was telling me, every time he plays it's different, right? The AI comes in a different way, and he's surprised.
Well,
So
I was going to
if they're
say that
passing on defense,
like
it's a little more passive.
when I was playing with the game, like a week or so back, I actually started this scenario and just thought, I'll rush in towards here. So I was actually all over this area that these guys covered, but they just didn't see me that time. They saw me this time.
Well, there are a couple more things. So the scenario designers can do things. They can give the troops orders like hold fire under certain conditions, meaning wait till they're Jason or wait till you have a really good shot, or fire the moment you see them. And then it depends on discipline. If it's a lot of stars unit, a lot of experience, they'll do what you want. But if there's some green cotton billers and you told them to hold their fire, they might get excited and not. So what happened here is that guy probably thought one or two things happened. He sort of failed his discipline, but he's a disciplined, experienced unit, so he probably didn't. He thought he had a good shot in that machine gun. It was a high value target, hit a machine gun, so he decided to break cover and whack you. He got a little unlucky, and they didn't do some casualties, or more damage. But he took his shot when he saw a good shot. But if you gave him a poor shot, he wouldn't have taken it.
I just I didn't use that unit at the top. I was using some of them in the middle here just to sort of see, but they certainly were going into the areas that he can see. So yeah, it's so even so with the scenarios, it's even when you know where units are. Like I guess in terms of replay value, I'm just sort of trying to think of the way around that. It would be that there's still chances that things will actually play out in a different way anyway.
Any battle is going to evolve fairly differently, right? Because we deliberately try to put a lot of chaos in. Units are going to break when you didn't expect them to. Units are going to succeed when you didn't expect them to. Enemies are going to fire very effectively. Units are going to move a little bit. And so it will tend to evolve differently. But I don't want to become the fake salesman and say, oh, it's dynamically different every time. It isn't.
No.
The more defensive the AI, the more it's going to tend to be the same. But that's okay. There's 60 plus hours out there in the main campaign, and that evolves very differently. And this is 7-10 hours. We're not promising 80 hours of infinite replay.
No. And look, I'm glad that you sort of are clarifying these things, and I'm actually excited to hear that you're actually looking to get like a second version out.
Definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of Panzer Corps, the Panzer Corps 1 and Panzer Corps 2.
Panzer Corps, Panzer General back in the day.
Yeah. Well, like Panzer Corps 1 and Panzer General were that the scripting was all, each scenario was completely scripted, and then Panzer Corps 2 actually then came where they did actually put the dynamic aspect into it, it'd be very, very interesting to sort of see how that could be handled. I guess I'm trying to sort of figure out exactly where the game is sort of with the scenario.
We did try to make it non-scripted in a sense that, remember, we have guys, often the lead designer's a vet, right? He wanted to make sure there were different ways you could attack, right? And so there's not one answer to this scenario you're fighting right now.
Yep. Yes. So even with terrain, like you've got like different approaches with terrain coming back through again as well. Like when I was I didn't play very much. I think I got into this area through here. That was about as far as I got. I just wanted to just get a feel for what was going on with it. But it was...
that's what we're trying to do today.
Yeah, exactly. It's really the idea here is to whet the appetite and see if people think, yeah, that's the sort of game that I want. And I think that with infantry, we've shown just in a couple of... I want to end the turn here. I just want to show what happens here. So I'll click on this. So
now the Brits are going to get to do something. They may not do much, but the AI is thinking about what to do. Might, if you're unlucky, go rally that machine gun, for example, which would be bad news for you. They apparently didn't do much, but you don't see them, so you don't know. Do we see any rally? No. Good news for you. No leader ran over and helped them. So.
Yep. So in this
actually,
case...
since they did something this turn, they couldn't. So, but next turn they may. So now you think you've got opportunity. You've got that machine gun suppressed, remember, and maybe you should move up and do things. You could use your scout cars. You could move your infantry platoons up. What are you going to do?
I was thinking we'd do that to show the armor side of things. Would that be the... Yeah, just so that people can see the difference. We haven't really used just normal riflemen. We haven't done much with them, to be honest. But
you haven't done any riflemen yet, have you? It's all been fancy weapons.
Yeah, it has. Yes. But I think that at least they've seen what happens, like with a heavy weapons squad.
It's all good.
Yeah, I would actually. If I was playing, we've also got a group down through here. So we've got like a group of tanks. I think there's a tank.
You've got that guy in charge of 2 thugs, and one's up north, I think.
Yeah, there it is there.
Those are decent tanks.
So we've got those at our ability. Again, I probably wouldn't be moving those unless... Just see, yeah, they can see a little bit, but not a hell of a lot. So I'd probably be wanting to establish a line before I move them in personally. But now I've got to make the decision as to which of the next group of lieutenants, whether it be...
Yeah, which group?
Yeah, which one is going to be the next one before the
Just
enemy...
Your scout car platoon. Yep.
Yep. So let's just use these again. I personally wouldn't be using these right now. I'd be using one of the other infantry guys and moving them
Right.
up a bit closer. But
But
let's
give
actually,
exposure.
but let's use them now. So if I
Right.
go and grab this first one,
Yeah.
now whoever I choose, their platoon, as soon as I
They're
give an
committed.
order, they're ones that we're playing with in this particular round.
That's correct.
So
Now
I'm
let's
going to
do one more thing. Click recon by fire. Let's show them about that. One of your buttons is recon by fire. There,
Yep.
click that. This shows you your weapon range, and you could fire in any of those hexes if you think there's an enemy there. There's no special reason to think they're there, but that's something you can do both to suppress an enemy you think is there, or maybe you get lucky, they'll reveal themselves. But these are British paratroopers. They're very disciplined. They probably won't, but it's still a good tactic. Oh, they're probably over there in the house. Let me pound them with fire before I close in.
yeah,
But
because
you don't need to do it right now.
this house would bother
can't.
me. Like I'd be concerned about that house. So I can move, and you can see. I guess we can sort of show people that there's a lot more movement in here. And again, if
Right.
I do like this line of sight tool, I got to say.
Yeah, go for it.
If I go and grab that one there, we do get the no, we don't get the that is protected. No,
There. Move
Yeah.
around rapidly. Everything you're moving your mouse over, you're seeing is line of sight. So you can very fast explore the whole battlefield.
Yes,
Well, now
yes.
you've committed.
So that
So
there,
if you were to right, go ahead.
yeah, that there sees is a like I might just move a scout car into there, and then use the and check out to see what's going to go on. So just superficially, just so we can at least sort of show the way that armor or that vehicles work. So if
Okay, here we go.
I'll move down to that side now. One of the issues that we have is that I've got my facing I'll be the side of the unit will be facing like side on. I'll still do it, or is there a
You can
clean
do a
way?
waypoint. Do a waypoint there. Control right click.
And then move
Okay,
in.
now you're controlling it, so that will be less exposing yourself.
In fact,
There
if
you
I
go.
I've only got one more move from there. So and now if I just
Yeah.
undo the control and then just do the right click. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
So the Chateau Ranville is set with heavy stone walls and windows with excellent firing arcs. Naturally, the British have occupied the place. Certainly, it will be folly if they did not. Judging from the Red Cross symbols on sheets hung from windows, it is some sort of medical establishment. However, armed men can be seen to walk the grounds. I'm guessing this will tell us a bit of historical context. I won't read that, but that's again. I didn't know that that's what that did. I don't think I ever hovered over it.
well, now you know.
Yeah, so we've got. We will have to reduce an assault in order to advance. This is infantry work. Our panzers will support. They could fire Piat from inside.
That's by saying Piats and hit your armor. Piats only got like 1 or 2 hex range, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But be careful about running up with a tank.
So I'm thinking. So this is really just warning me. So we have to reduce the assault in order to advance. So
It's
I'm
helping
really.
you think out the problem as they would.
Yeah. Okay, so again, we've got Chateau Ranville. So a British squad in the chateau will be able to interdict the road, spot for artillery, and likewise make things difficult. So they must go. The British never make it easy. Okay, so no, they do not. Compared to Russia, they will be a walk in the park, or click the handset twice in the affirmative. I'll just click on this one at this point in time. The British have been fighting Germany for so many years. So we're now almost just getting like some flavour text, I guess, into putting people's mindset into what actually happened historically. Sorry?
Yeah, who are these people?
Yeah.
Yeah, who are you? Who are these people?
So I'll just click it there. So we're now in that position.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, you did the first part. You found them, but maybe not the way you wanted to find them.
So,
All right, let's see who's over there. Go click on the enemy.
let's zoom in so
Okay,
people can see it.
right click on the graphic down below, on the far left. Yeah.
This one here?
Right click on that graphic. Yeah. So, anti-tank gun, as you now know, 6-pounder anti-tank.
Yep.
Not
yep.
good.
No, so that is protecting.
You found him.
Yeah.
Scout car.
All the way through
Who
there.
doesn't like it?
And
So just left click on that spot, and now you know what they can hit. And zoom out. Left click and zoom out. So now you can see where that can
Wow.
threaten.
Even back here.
Yeah.
Gee, this tank is also, like, it could actually hit any of those.
Yeah, too bad you didn't move the tank first. That would have been bad.
Yeah. Now, they've only got one action left.
Very good.
So that would then mean that if we were trying to suppress this, now, do we get to see...
This could be where you could use mortar, or if you have a machine gun that can target it.
Yeah, so with the group that we actually have, I don't want it, like, we're still in this...
Captain could do it, or you could wait.
Yeah, yep. And they're not going to get a turn until, like, they're now sort of spent until the next...
Panic here, you know.
Yeah, there's no point because
You don't slaughter everything with the captain. You know, it's not a crisis. As long as you're not stupid now, you know, just like, oh, I'll just trot lots of scout cars in front of the anti-tank, then things will go badly. But you're not going to do that.
So in this case, like, knowing that, you know, we can sort of step back a little bit from in here. Now, this one does see all of those
Some more
spots.
up, you could pass. But you could move some more up safely if you're careful, right?
And so we know that position is... and it's not as if when we end our turn that they get another turn, unless their captain comes in.
They may order them shoot if they see a target, but you aren't offering them any targets as far as you can tell right now.
They've only got the one action point, though. So does that mean that they can only acquire if their captain gives them the bolster?
One order, they activated. Some leader paid for them to do that. Now they're active for the rest of the scenario, meaning they can fire again without any leadership if they see something.
Ah, okay. So we don't want to go in there. So we
Do not move into their hexes.
So these
You
are
can, but I wouldn't suggest it.
these are a no-go zone in that case.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Like,
Cool.
go back and pick the next scout car. Look, orange. Right?
Yeah.
Warning
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Don't go orange, dude. That's an active anti-tank gun. Bad.
And we can't choose these as such because these aren't. It's not their turn. Like so we.
Organization, right? You made a commitment.
Yeah.
Let's use the captain.
Yep. So getting
Stop. You can pass and come back to these guys again later, or you can move them up cautiously, you know, and just positions up to you.
now changing the facing. Like if I move to there, can I still change the facing if I go to the full?
After you get there, you can always change your facing for free.
Right.
Okay, you spend an order. You could see your officer paid for that, and they think they're hidden again. They think they were seen for a bit, and now they think they're hidden.
Yep.
So that's good. Right there you go. Exactly. Now you've got the facing you want.
So I'll just move.
And
on.
another little detail. Zoom in on the scout car. You see the rotating wheel?
Yes.
And you can see the wheels in motion. This unit is still in motion. Now let's
Right.
talk about armor. So basically, a simple version of armor in World War II is you've got to be halted to shoot because they didn't have good stability, so they couldn't shoot while moving normally. Thank you. That's nice. Yeah. But it's good defensively. It's hard to hit a moving target. So this is good defensively. Leave him moving if you don't want him shooting at things during the UK round because he's harder to hit right now. So it's a choice. Stay in motion, you're safer.
Yep.
Don't be in motion. You could shoot, but you're an easier target. Pick
Yes.
the poison.
Yep. So how do I stop it? Just is it one of these? Is it?
There's a hold action. It's free.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, let's just for the sake of it, let's go and move this one into here. So again, we're moving, going down that slope. Now this is all using action points from the lieutenant.
Yes, you notice he's going down, but you're spending your actions for command and control. Your leader's focusing on command and control, getting this platoon out there and active rather than doing wonderful shooting things. This is another way to play. It's a good way to play. It's not the other one wasn't wrong. This is a different way to play.
I'll hold that one just for the sake of it.
And that's good. Some diversity. One's he could respond to British infantry closing on you, while the other one is safe from anti-tank fire, relatively, not perfectly.
So now I'm moving both the lieutenant and his this other vehicle down. I'll keep that one moving as well.
And you can move them later in the turn too. You don't have to use it all up right now. You could stop, and they'll still all be available to you.
Yep. So
I'm telling you what to do. I'm just educating you.
Yep. So with this one, if we leave him with action points, then it means that his group can come back like before the round actually ends, doesn't it? We can do like
You
partial
can come back
rounds.
again, and as long as they've been activated, which they have, they've done something. They can be done again as long as your leader doesn't run out of orders.
Yes.
So
Yep.
he's probably limited the game, but don't use up that last order of that leader
Yes.
because then they all think they can't be commanded
Yep.
anymore. Um, yeah.
So I'm going to end the turn here.
Also, another reason to leave orders when you're playing defensively is so you can shoot the AI when it does things. If you don't have any orders, you can't shoot.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, back again. See, you could go down there and let's try it again. Just pick one of them. You'll see you could do something with them.
So he's
See,
yeah
he's
he
still
can
active.
he's still active, yeah, which is really really interesting. Like this is again the intricacies of the way that the order system works is great. I actually love the interplay of the orders along with the rounds and the fact that you can actually partially complete a round. It's still so it's not as if you're trying to milk every single order all the time. It all
Right.
depends on the position that you're actually
How are
in.
you going to develop this attack, right? A real leader would be saying, I've got to bring up my fire support. I've got to get a base. I've got to suppress them. I've got to scout out. I'm going to do this as an orchestrated play rather than, I'll just charge forward with the tanks. Well, you'll find out what will happen if you just charge forward with the tanks.
Yeah, yep. So, like, if I did even try to get around that one square, if I go there, I'm going to get blasted. But if I tried to move to
You
there,
don't
for
know
example,
maybe they don't have any more anti-tank. Who knows?
yeah, yep. So I won't do that though. But interestingly, again, just to show in the interface that we don't actually have we can select any of these that have got action points, including
Right.
the one that we just chose, but he's only got one order. So
I would proceed now. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just going to leave him
You
there.
can move some of his vehicles and it won't use up any of his orders because they're activated, but he's got to stay active himself or it decides. I could probably design this better. Once activated, units will move as long as their leader isn't spent, meaning as long as he has orders. So you won't spend any more of his orders, but he's got to be active for them to move. It's not perfect.
Yep. Now, Luke, we've been I guess, sort of really going into the fine detail for quite a length of time, and I just
Yes, yeah.
is there anything that we should be showing people, like before, like because we've now we've touched a little bit, we've seen a little bit of the way that vehicles work as opposed to infantry. We didn't
The
really
core thing we
scratch.
haven't seen that is the core of the game. It's primarily an infantry game. Though we released an Armor 2.0 recently that's much more sophisticated that you're using here, is really the closing in, like suppress the enemy, flank them, finish them like talked about, and the assaults and clearing them out. Unfortunately, you've got a long way to go right now. So what you would have to do, we may not have time realistically today, in
No,
this
no.
scenario, because you're developing a complicated attack, is you would probably do something like grab an infantry platoon, start moving them up. They're
Yep.
a little more expendable, honestly, than a single vehicle. Oh, you notice that single vehicle? Dead in one shot. Armor combat is different from
Yes. Yeah.
small arms, right? One shot's enough, right? So yeah, you better win initiative, and it could be all over in one shot. So you might move your infantry up. That's going to take you, you'll probably get them halfway across the map this turn. Next turn, you might get into the enemy positions and do things. You're bringing up your vehicles and your tanks, and you're trying to do combined arms, right? Use my mortars and artillery. Use my infantry. Use my machine guns. Use my leadership. Use my vehicles. Orchestrate an attack.
So let's just do one little thing with the infantry here because we've got some
Let's get
some basic ones, and I'm
Let's
just
go
going to
one
move.
trick here, bolster them, and then I'll show you improved movement. You can see they're not going to get far. Give them a bolster. This is good to teach them.
Yep. So start here.
Yep, and right-click them. Now look, it projected how far you can move. Look how far you can move now.
Whoa! I didn't know that. I didn't know you could go that far.
Movement points.
I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to run all the way out here.
Go for it, man.
And we'll just see what we find.
Hör nicht auf!
All right.
Here we go. Don't
Anywhere
stop.
with it?
Now,
All right. Now you could just move forward normally, or you could bolster. Every time you bolster, you're burning another leader order. So you'll pump them up, but it costs your leadership.
Wow.
So you could just move normally now, or you could even leave the leader there and just have the squad advance. So what do you want to do?
yeah. Well, in this case, if I just move the squad, the leader doesn't
Yep.
use up one of his actions, does he?
Correct.
So I'm going
You've
to
got
move.
them both selected again. Click just on the squad. You can do it in a hex too.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh,
Now
keep
only he
on-
will move.
keep on doing it that way.
There you go. Good. It's just confirming because that can, sometimes people don't mean that. There you go. No, good. You're good.
No,
Now
we're
he's
still.
spent, but you got the good position. You're advancing. You could bring up the rest of the platoon. You're closing in on the enemy.
So with that one there, like that was actually. I'm glad you showed me that because I didn't realise I could move that far by bolstering. It's I must have I must have not seen that part of it in the.
Trade-off, you'll be shocked to hear, right? Because you're spending an extra order, but you get a lot of movement points out of it.
And so with these other
Your
units,
captain can sit there and adjacently bolster people around him. They can all get movement points. He's very efficient. But if you want the fighting effects, they got to be with the unit.
yes, yep. So yeah, so as you're saying, with the actual captain himself, he can. He's
You got to
got
put your ass in the line, inspire the men. But for just getting him to go faster, you can just bolster and not go.
So with this one here, we're still in the same group. So this is still part of the same group. So I can actually activate these to start to move forward.
Yep, and you want to move like you're doing. You want to move as a platoon. What you don't want to do is end up with your captain your lieutenant there and one squad way up there, and then you get screwed, and you don't have any of his other squads up to help him. Move as an organization, as a platoon.
So after
then your leader can help everybody too.
And after he's given the order to move, these guys can just keep on. They can keep on moving, can't
Doesn't
they?
cost. Watch the lieutenant. Won't cost him anything. Yep, only costs the unit.
And
Good.
then we've got this unit here as well, which that's interesting. I must have to be able to move up to there.
Good. Organize advance. You're developing your attack. Now, as they say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. So it's all going very well right now, but of course at some point it won't.
Yeah. But that's
organized advance. Very nice.
And then we've now sort of gone through this particular one. I'm thinking that what we might do is, I think that this is enough of a teaser for people to
Yes, I agree.
to know if they like what they're seeing and if they like the way that the orders do work. One thing that I can assure people that we haven't really been able to show, and I don't think you really get a feel for it until you actually play the game, is just how much connection you get to the individuals. That's something that you end up really, really like you feel when something happens to one of your leaders, it hurts. And when something, yeah, it's incredible actually, and we haven't been able to show that. I guess we've been showing the mechanics at this side. What I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is one thing I always like to do with games is to have a look at the Steam reviews, and I do that myself with nearly every single game.
No.
It's always scary. It's always scary.
Good ones, of course. There were no negative reviews.
I actually personally always read the negative reviews because it allows me to qualify myself as to whether if the game is right for me. Because quite often a negative review will be there'll be a concern about something that just doesn't apply to me, and I would be really interested. Yeah, I'd be really interested to get your perspective if that's okay. So let's.
Well, they're wrong. My perspective, they're wrong. No, I will try to give an honest response.
No,
Let's see what they say.
it's. I know it's sort of. I guess it's risky. I did have a quick look before, and the reviews that I've seen have been pretty consistent, and I don't think there'll be any surprises
Some of
as
the
such.
critiques are very fair. I don't mind them.
No.
It's not a
So the thing I always look at is how much time people have spent with the game before they give a review, positive or negative. And so many of these things, I'm guessing, this is somebody who's really, really engaged with it. The less than a month ago, incredible stress when you must put your best lieutenant in squads in desperate defence or must do attacks. You simply can't save and replay. So you can see there's connection in through there. But let's find a negative. There's not very many negative reviews, by the way. There's a lot of.
I'm sorry.
Some of these ones here, 22 hours. Mix of strategy and RPG elements is really fun. The connection is great. Like it really does connect very, very well. We've got 11 hours on record in through here. By far the best narrative Wolf Tour strategy game on the market. Intuitive.
I like the one below it.
Here we go.
I think wild, brutal, unforgiving, ruthless are designed to be so high. It really makes you feel for the characters and the choices make. If you like the dark, brutal side of war, this game's for you.
Which is exactly what you were.
It's not recommended.
Yeah, so and that's exactly what you were trying to achieve with the game, wasn't it? Really, you were trying to get that connection. You actually told me an anecdote, or not an anecdote, part of your actual like why you are interested in leadership. Do you want to just share? I don't know if you want to share that with people or not. You
Sure, I'd be
said,
happy to.
yeah, just
So
the
I'm a strange, I like to say an interestingly strange person. So my background's funky. So first, my father was an eminent historian and a World War II vet, Thomas Park Hughes. He was actually a Pulitzer finalist in history. And so guess what? He made me very respectful of history, right, Dad? And my mother wanted me, to be kind to art and writing. She was a ceramics teacher in high school, so of course the writing and the art is very important to me. Um, and then I was always fascinated by leadership, especially military leadership. So, of course, I'm a Southern, United States Southern person that has a long military tradition in the South. So I grew up reading about Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, all those, fascinated. And then I studied what I would say, how do our emotions and mind work in my training? Meaning, I studied what's called physiological psychology. It's a fancy way to say, like, well, how does your hunger system, your sex drive, and your ambition and your fear work? And so, with that kind of background, I did neurophysiology. I even dissected brains with some of the medical students. Uh, and I did animal studies. I trained chimpanzees. Okay, weird enough, I hope yet. My point is, when I looked at the battlefield, I was interested in how do humans respond to this stress. There's a great podcast out there called Hardcore History by Dan Carlin. He similarly looks at history for how do people respond to tremendous situation stress, which the battlefield is. And so I wanted to convey what I believe is true is it's a very human experience. Now maybe drones are changing it, and the bots, but up until now, a lot of it's driven by people trying to find their inner courage, right? Or finding the panic, or they can't go on. We even model combat stress and combat fatigue and PTSD in the game. Your units by late war and your leaders will be starting to break down, and we deliberately designed it so you can't fix it all. You can fix some of it. But the real war, everybody breaks down, or the studies. Eventually they will all break, and they'll be at one point sitting on the battlefield weeping upright, and you'll say, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "Well, it doesn't matter. There's a bullet destined for me, and might as well be now." Right? That's just the way we respond long term. So that was my weird background that made me look at it a different way. And then my father's a vet. My wife is a vet. One of my sons is a vet. We have a lot of vets in the team, so I was always very interested to get their perspectives and try and convey it.
That's really fascinating, actually. What you're talking about there, there was a book I read years and years ago. What is it, The Last Chimpanzee? Or it was something where it actually connects it puts the humans in with the chimpanzees, and it talks about combat. I can't think of, when you're talking about it, I was thinking, I wonder if that applies. It was about it's so much harder to your mental side of things, and the chimpanzee side of things makes it so much harder to be seeing eye to eye with combat.
I can't resist a few quick animal stories now. So I remember when I was young and I was trying to understand these things, and I was sitting outside. People relate to this, and there was a seagull, and he was near me, and I noticed he was like hovering. He would come close and go away. I was eating, I realized. So part of his system was saying, like, "Oh God, you got to get close and grab the crumbs." And the other part was brain like saying, "What are you thinking, man? He'll eat you," right? And so you could see him
Yeah.
literally sort of hovering what the distance was. And so I could see the competing motives in him. And so in the game, actually, the squads and units have competing motives. Part of them is basically doing fear, like how much do I, as a squad or leader, want to risk this move? And the other part's like, I don't want to be humiliated in front of my friends. I'm a social animal. I care about respect from my peers. I'm gonna, I don't want to show what do they call it, the white feather in World War One or whatever. I don't want to show myself up as inadequate. I'll do my part. So there's a lot of that going on. And then other things, I was listening to my wife the other day. Mice, when they see other mice suffering, I just was reading about this. This is weird. When they see other mice taking pain in some sick little experiment, they start showing pain stress response. Interestingly, chimps don't show that as much. So there's species difference. Mice are rather empathetic, at least in some sense of the word. Chimpanzees, maybe not so much. Our dogs, probably so. Our cats, I don't know. Are they so empathetic? I leave you to decide. My point is, animals are very interesting because they strip away the language and all the way we
Yes.
try to
Yeah.
deceive ourselves and others about what's really going on, and they show you the raw emotions. I mean, I know when my dog wants the food or he's scared. He doesn't know enough language tricks to defeat me, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
humans do.
But
So I like animals for not we're not animals. We're very sophisticated. We're between angels and animals, but we animals help us see our animal nature as well as what makes us more than animals.
And
That
so
we try more. We aspire to things like saving our fellow man, which few animals do.
with the game, you've really looked at like these sorts of aspects, I guess, very very deeply into it. Like I really like that seagull analogy because you do see that in the game, like
Yeah,
where units will go a certain distance and then go no more.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, we're all critters. My wife and I like to say that, we're monkeys with toes, right? We're weird. I mean,
Mm.
toes. What an absurd thing we have, and yet somehow we stand upright and try to write constitutions and political systems and religions and so forth. And we're remarkable creatures, but like Shakespeare said, we're a strange, strange mix. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
No,
fascinating to me.
it is funny actually. It is very interesting. Just the whole the mix of the way you've been able to get psychology, and I guess like with your very very colourful background that you're going through, it must be very heartening to be able to put so much of what your I guess what your interests are into a single project and combine them like this.
I want to say it is a tremendous privilege.
Mm,
And I think a lot of the other team members feel that way too, that that's the other thing. We get to tell the story of these men and women who suffered in the battlefields in World War II, or my mother was a nurse in World War II. Um, and their stories are being forgotten, right? We all know that they're
yeah.
mostly dead now. And yet we can bring them back for you. As an example, I remember looking at a black and white picture after the writers had been working me over for a while, late war, about how crappy winter was and the food sucked and you weren't getting enough sleep, and we make you feel all that. And I looked at this guy, just a black and white picture was in the game of him trudging along, and suddenly I felt some empathy in the sense of like, God, it must suck out there for him right now. And he'd so like to not be in the mountains of southern France waiting for somebody to shoot him dead, while everything sucks. But he keeps going. And now I'm not saying we gave you the real experience, but we connect you a
Yes.
little
Yeah.
bit to that real experience. And in some ways, games have this advantage, right? Like movies, you're at a distance. Well, I wouldn't have done that. Well, I don't feel any guilt because I didn't do it. The character did. But in a game, when you order Wilson up the hill and he dies because of your action, and we do so permasave so that Wilson's dead unless you want to go be clever with the save game files,
Yeah.
then
I meant to
then
show.
you
I'm going to show
suddenly
people
you do
something.
feel guilt.
Just bear
Games
with
can
me.
make you feel guilt.
I'm going to pause this.
But
I want to
yeah,
show. I'm known as a save scummer.
I
Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to pause for a second. Now, sorry. When this came up, I just absolutely pissed myself laughing. So, experience the burden. This is when I tried to do a save scum. So, one-time message. It appears that you're about to play a non-current save. If you got this game to feel the burden, please don't save scum. You won't be kicked out of a campaign for losing scenarios. Leader death will lead you to interesting new characters and situations. Experience what real leaders faced, losses and mistakes. However, if you're in boot camp, feel free to save scum to learn. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. As somebody who'd save scum all the time, it was automatic for me to click
yeah,
these like to start to save scum,
because you're a
and
power player.
but
There was
it
a review in there. The guy said, "Look, I got this message. I decided to do it." And he said, "I'm so glad I did. I almost didn't because now I feel like I own every decision. Meaning, the great successes were mine. The failures and mistakes were mine. I was the leader there." And I'll read quickly the quote from Truscott, who was head of the division that the cotton balers are part of. He's at a cemetery in 1944. He turned his back on the living and instead faced the dead, the gravestones. He apologized to the dead men for their presence here. He did. He said everybody tells leaders not their fault that men get killed in war, but that every leader knows in his heart that this is not altogether true. Now there's a leader, right? He's owning the burden of command, and he knows he's gotten people killed through his mistakes. He admits it, and this gives me shivers still when I read it.
yeah,
So he
yeah.
was a great general, by the way, Third Division.
Wow, yeah, it's again, I guess it shows that the way that you've connected the experience with everything in the game itself. Yeah, yeah, it's a very very different game, and I hardly ever do screen saves. I don't know when when I just grabbed this one. The last one was so long ago. But when I saw this, it was like, oh, I've got to show people this one. This is absolutely
Now,
brilliant.
do save scum during boot camp because that's good learning. But after boot camp, don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is good to
Well, it's
learn.
up to you, but that's my advice.
Well, it's sort of one of those things where, like certain games, for example, like Age of Wonders, for example, encourage saves coming because it's so difficult to move through the tactical battles. But I've really it really struck me what this was all about, and yeah, it's again I just really like the way that was handled. Anyway, let's get back to the Steam reviews. Just going to pause
Let's
again.
get to those negatives. Enough of this build up.
Yeah, we haven't got to the negative ones yet. Okay, let's do it.
All right.
All right, we're back. We're back. Now for the negative one. We've stalled long enough. So again, someone's played a long time in the game, like nearly 100 hours.
Yeah.
And again, people often their first reaction is think, why would you spend? Like I always equate games to movies. Like how much does it cost you to see a movie? How much hours do you get out of a movie? Like you get 2 or 3 maybe, and then what's the value for the money that you've spent? So I always try to think of games in that sort of sense. So your game is worth what, 2 movies thereabouts? So if you're getting 5 hours out of the game, you're doing well. In this case, so somebody has spent a lot longer than 5 hours in the game, but often there is something that will actually be something that they're passionate about. So I'm also always respectful of the negative reviews, unless they're like only 1 hour or something like that. So I'm just clarifying where my head is. So combat outcomes are
A large chunk of our negative reviews are people that have less than 3 hours because the learning curve gets them, which I understand, and it's just too weird, and they fall out of it, and like, what's the point of this game? Why can't you kill things with shooting? You know, so I get that, but as I say, 90% after 3 hours ish. Go ahead with the negative here.
Yep, so combat outcomes are suspect when an infantry squad cannot destroy a cargo truck 1 hex away or an unarmed scout car 1 hex away. I played the game until the France invasion. AI decided to charge my position with cargo trucks. Air attacks are not effective against armour or trucks. I had a platoon engage a German squad with no effect, and then the German superhero ran over one of my squads. So what would be the... I can understand the frustration if that's the perception that somebody has from that one. So, from the game's perspective, what would be the response to that?
I think some of that's fair, but you have to be careful. So it was the Cotton Battle campaign, fundamentally infantry campaign. The armor was inadequately modeled, in some ways good, in some ways quite bad. It's much better now. I don't know that he was playing under the latest version, which is better about things like the trucks getting blown up adjacent. You have to be careful about things like, oh, why didn't the artillery or mortar blow up the truck? Well, the hexes are 50 meters. A truck's, what is it, 12 or 13 feet? Normally, you're not going to hit them. So that's, but we blow up the picture of the truck to look big in a hex because it's easier to read, right? It's a game convention. But if I were doing it at scale in 3D, it would look tiny, and then you'd get why the mortar missed, right? But when you don't, then your brain says, why didn't it hit? I mean, it should have. Now, the last part, war is chaos. It's like everybody getting angry, understandably, at the 90% shot in XCOM that misses. So sometimes it's just unfair. You did everything right and your assault failed. There's a 2% chance, like, I have critical failures. Sometimes you do everything to the enemy and they still keep coming and they get you.
Is that the RNG? Is that the RNG you think maybe kicking in at that point?
Don't play this game if you don't like RNG. There's definitely RNG. What I try to do is enough of it. I'd like there be even more that the chaos all balances out.
Have you seen what Panzer Corps 2 did with it?
Things happen.
Have you actually seen the way that Panzer Corps 2 handled their RNG? Like it's brilliant.
They could let you pick how they would do it, I believe.
Yeah, it's a slider, and you actually, which is it's funny. I don't feel the RNG in that one in that game, which is actually an interesting aspect. But anyway,
I read some designer experience. He said, "Look, you got to make some commitments, designer. What the hell are you doing?" So I sort of drank that in. So, people were like, it's not permadeath, but I try to do it because I believe it's right for burden of command. War is chaos, so I believe chaos should be in there. Now, people really like games where you have control. They know what the enemy is going to do. Like, what's the famous card game that's just came up with the second version of it? Slay the Spire. You know what they're going to do. Great game, obviously, but not credible as a war simulation, not that it's trying to be. I'm trying to make something that connects to the real experience, in which case chaos is part of it.
Actually, another anecdote with that. I know that you've got to get going fairly soon, and maybe we've sort of finished with that. But I used to get very frustrated with the RNG in what is it, Blood Bowl, Warhammer Blood Bowl, and a really good player of Warhammer Blood Bowl said that if the RNG is frustrating you, it's because you're not playing I guess you're not sort of playing your own sort of safety net to a degree, and so
That's the way I think about it.
yeah, so you end up taking risks when you and then get frustrated with the RNG instead of actually being cautious and actually playing within the confines of the RNG. And he said that that's the secret
Very
to
good.
a game like Blood Bowl.
Smart remark. All right, when you bring in a platoon up, you leave some orders because you can't anticipate everything the enemy will do. Right,
Yeah.
you're managing the chaos that way. If you commit
Yes,
everybody
yeah.
for your brilliant move and they turn out to have a tank there, you're screwed. Right, so you have to play with that safety net. The other thing I've heard is a good point about RNG is it creates unexpected, interesting decisions. Well, I didn't know I was going to have to decide what to do about an armor one hex away when I revealed it when I got up there. Is this the time to press? Right, is this the time to retreat? It's an interesting decision if, like real leaders face, or anything. You embrace the chaos and you embrace unusual, interesting decisions. Can you react appropriately in the moment? Now, again, that's not the only way to play. This isn't supposed to be the game for everybody. It's supposed to be a game if
Yeah.
you think you want things. But we had to commit to certain things. We commit to leadership. We commit to RNG. We commit to, permadeath and burden of command and ugly images sometimes to convey the realities of war, not gratuitously, but very consciously, because we're trying to convey a legitimate experience. And I'd like to end on a really good negative review. I remember I was reading YouTube comments, and this guy said, what is it with these burden of command guys? They just love blood and guts and violence or whatever, and I want fun in my games. And I thought I was so clever, I came back and I said, look, we think it's very important to, like I'm saying to you today, convey the experience, so forth. And he came back and he said, I was a master sergeant in Iraq. I don't need any education on, the things you're talking about. I need fun in my games. And what the hell could I say to that? He's 100% right.
Yeah.
For him, he shouldn't. So that's a good critique. This game's not for everybody, and it
Yes,
shouldn't
yeah.
be.
And-
But if you want a certain experience, we're trying to do it. I'm not claiming it's all right, but we're trying to open the door on expressing what that experience might be more broadly looked at.
And I think you express that in a very respectful way. I've got to say, like you look at it from the human side when you play this game, rather than from the, I guess, from like a team side, which is different. Again, like you sort of get used to doing things very, very differently. But look, I know that you've actually got to go. We've gone.
Yeah, I've got to go pick up my son.
Yeah, so look, let's leave it there. But I think this has been very, very interesting. I hope that we've done enough of a job with just the different bits and pieces. It's funny. I thought we'd see more of the brothers, sort of comments about just how much the game is like that. But I can't see any. I was just having a quick look through, but I can't sort of see anything.
Well,
in
these
there.
are recent ones. I got a little more,
Yeah.
different focus.
But
there are
look,
plenty of those.
it's a game that has really surprised me, just in the heart that it evokes. It's in its maturity as well. Like it's not a frivolous game at all. And I commend you and your team actually on what you've achieved. And really looking.
Well, I'll commend the team again, right? We volunteers, many vets doing historical imagery. We have volunteers in the playtesting. We have all age groups, and we have people coming from backgrounds of being RPG or war gamers or interactive fiction people. The writers brought a lot to bear. All these experts who gave us different ways to understand the problem. William Bernhardt, who's a famous 20 million copies sold novelist, critiqued our writing, helped us get better at that. So we tried to be humble and get better through a lot of input. We've got a long way to go. There's plenty of things we've done wrong, but we keep listening, right? And hopefully getting better.
Yeah, no, it's a great experience. Anyway, let's leave it there. So,
I want to hear how your campaign goes, Captain.
thank you, Luke, and
Thank you.
and good luck.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank
Cheers.
you.